ref Bromley.
And absolutely right, and we should be given the points immediately.
Or Scott, you know.
I think you're looking over the fact that she was a woman.
Sure, of course, he's a fine referee, but Kent is, Bromley is in Kent, isn't it?
For people who don't understand, you can just say that was an ironic bit of conversation.
Yes.
Before anyone yells at us, great idea, etc., etc.
I don't think I need to apologise to you for understand irony. And I tell you something, it's women should be doing the ironing.
God. Yeah. All right. Come on.
Double irony. I'm missing 4,000.
4,000.
Standard. Don't know what.
I said 3,999.
4,938, 2-1. He had the chance to win that early. We go to Salford. Salford, 2 defeats in a row for the favourites to win League Two. The AIG Stadium, Salford 0, Chesterfield 1. Bonus.
This is basically Justin's back garden.
This is back garden. Bonus's second-minute goal. Bonnie Bonus scored. The ref was Scott Oldham. Can somebody called Oldham be refereeing Salford? Absolute disgrace. Here's from Polton the Field, wherever that is, or the File, thank you. How many were there at Salford to watch this one, Barry?
5,000.
4,999.
3,272 apiece. It's an absolute classic. Here we go.
I was going to showboat.
You say again?
I was going to showboat then.
You could have done. But
Can't showboat when it's 2-1 down.
2-2, well, it's an amazing time to show. Imagine if he had. We'd have talked about it.
Nannied it.
Yeah.
Kept it like nanny in the corner.
Wayne says, I kept a spreadsheet against the attendance results for 7 years. Problem is, I deleted it in anger when in that ridiculous new game. Joe Woolmer refereed. Dagenham and Redbridge 2, Torquay United 0. Apologies, Charlie. But how many were there at the Chigwell Construction Stadium? Good win for KSI. 2 goals for Rodari. Joe Woolmer, the referee in Northampton. But how many were there to watch Dagenham 2, Torquay 0? This for the win. Justin.
What league is that in?
That is in
National League South.
Yes,
It's only that far down.
it is the national. We cover every single part of the pyramid on this show. We're not snobs.
National League South. I would say thousands. And I've gone too high there, Barry. Andy, that's on the plate. I've gone far too high.
What did you guess?
1,000, Barry, just a walk away. 3,999, Barry.
I think it might be higher.
Yeah, I think that's
1,001. You say 1,001?
Yeah.
Correct answer. 1,897. A big win for Barry. Thank you, Justin.
Oh, God, wait.
You'll be all right. Don't worry.
Absolutely gutted.
There's always another game. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Travis Perkins. That's how much best Barry Rose.
The warm-up on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. All your landscaping needs covered with Travis Perkins. From fence panels to decking or paving backs to topsoil.
At Sky Vegas, it all starts with a spin. And when you join us, you'll get 50 of them for free. Plus an extra 200 spins when you deposit and spend £10. So you can spin the slots, play our jackpots, and bring our exclusive games to life. Download the Sky Vegas app and enjoy a welcome on us. New customers only. Opt-in required. £10 taken. Deposit requirement must be met within 30 days of opt-in. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply. 18+ gambleware.org.
Enjoy the freedom of unlimited data with Vodafone. Save £288 with an unlimited data SIM-only plan. Hurry, offer ends the 16th of September. Vodafone.
Plus £35 on 24-month unlimited plan, 100 megabytes max speed, 5G subject to coverage. Credit check and terms apply. Vodafone.co.uk/mobile.
On August 29th, witness history as Moses Italma fights to become Britain's youngest heavyweight world champion ever. Moses versus Hergovich. Live exclusively on DAZN Saturday Fight Night.
Props clips just dropped in Happy Meal. Express yourself however you feel. Sports mode, stylish, or superstar too. Whatever your vibe, we've got them all for you. Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal.
Until the 25th of September from 11 a.m. Includes one piece of Echo booklets from Crocs rings comprised of toys only while stocks last. Fair ordering, we'll see applies.
Without rhyme or reason, we believe every football season. We wear scarves in scorching heat, hoof half-time pies to stop the pushing your feet. Oi, off your pop, mate, that's my lucky seat. The treble is on. Relegation, never hope responsibly.
The talkSPORT Sports Bar, the radio speakeasy for aficionados of sport. Sometimes you wanna go where place and candy knows your name. Glenn, go Glenn boy. And know always where you came.
My fancy talk.
You want more when you're on the phone, let the referees to blame. You wanna be where everybody loves the game. The Sports Bar opens Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on talkSPORT.
Sunday, game day live on DAB, online, on your mobile.
Every game that matters.
Scores by satellite.
Instant goals from a hyper-threaded
Superconnected football journalism jigsaw.
throbbing heart of the football machine. If it goes in, it's going off.
Sunday, game day live on talkSPORT.
Good afternoon, this is Game Day Live coming to you from St James's Park ahead of Newcastle United versus Liverpool 4:30. I'm Sam Malaface. I'm delighted to be joined by talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook today, and the two sides get ready to pay their respects to a true footballing legend, Kevin Keegan, who sadly passed away last month. We've also got former Arsenal winger Perry Groves and ex-Sunderland defender Mickey Gray on the show as we keep you updated from Manchester City against Bournemouth and Aston Villa's trip to Brighton, which both kick off at 2 o'clock in the Premier League. Plus, right now over on talkSPORT 2, West Brom lead Burnley by 3-1 with just 20 minutes to go. It's Game Day Live on a Sunday, taking you around the grounds on talkSPORT. Alex Crook, Mickey Gray and Perry Groves are with me, and I'm at a sunshine-drenched St James's Park, and away to my left in the Leeds end, right at the top, in the top tier where you will later on see a lot of Liverpool fans occupying their seats. There is a mosaic which is ready to go up, which just says Keegan, and there'll be lots of tributes to Kevin Keegan over the course of the next few hours as these two clubs, which he graced with some splendour, come together on the opening weekend of the season. Yes, it's back. I hope you've had some fun so far. Let's see if we can give you a bit more this afternoon as we whiz around the ground Sunday style. I'm really looking forward, actually, to seeing Manchester City respond to an insipid Community Shield, especially seeing as they seem to be selling everyone they bought in the big rebuild. Perry Groves, title winner with Arsenal, Mickey Gray, the former England left-back, and Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, are with me. Okay, let's start with you, Perry Groves. What are you looking forward to most ahead of today's action?
I'm looking forward to see if Man City can find the new Rodri. That's what it is, Rodri, or can they find the new Bernardo Silva? Can they find the new John Stones? So Enzo Maresca's not very happy at the moment, is he? And to be fair, I think you could take another 10 years to find the new Rodri. It looks like Nick O'Reilly might play in there today, or Lewis might play in there. So Man City's midfield looks very, very open at the minute.
Master?
I'm looking forward to this game at St James's Park. I'm looking forward to the tributes to Kevin Keegan, which, as you say, I think are going to be spine-tingling. We're going to be speaking to a couple of his former players over the next couple of hours and getting their tribute to the great man. But once the football actually starts, you've got two new managers in the dugout, almost a completely new team as far as Newcastle are concerned, and obviously some big personalities missing from the Liverpool dressing room. So I'm fascinated to see which one of these two can hit the ground running.
I'm sure some of our listeners are thinking to themselves, how comes you've just opened your mouth, spoken to Alex Crook and haven't mentioned the words Manchester United? Well,
I'm grateful for that, by the way.
I would have plenty to say. He is going to have plenty to say about it. Premier League All Access. Later on tonight, tomorrow morning, is the place to get all the reaction to the weekend's football. You can download that podcast from Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, or of course the talkSPORT app. You can watch it on the talkSPORT YouTube channel as well. Premier League All Access is a place to hear Alex Crook's and Torre Dini's reaction to the weekends of football. Looking forward to that. Mickey Gray, the Manchester football correspondent for talkSPORT, watching Manchester City today. Both Perry and I are looking forward to see how Enzo Maresca gets his team on the right course, really, after what was an insipid display in the Community Shield. What are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, a performance, Sam, because we certainly didn't get that from Manchester City last weekend against Arsenal. And having been in Maresca's press conference on Friday, there was a guy in front of me that was saying words, but the things that were coming out of his mouth didn't feel believable. And I think that filtered onto the pitch last weekend, so I'm hoping to see something different today. There was a little bit of talk today that Mark Gay was actually going to start the centre midfield. I think that's been changed now, but I still think he's searching for his best 11, and I think these next 9 to 10 days in the transfer window are going to be super important for Man City to stay in the coattails of Arsenal, who look outstanding.
Okay, let's ask Alex Crook about that. You mentioned about the transfer market. How much business are Manchester City going to do between now and the time that the window shuts on the 1st of September?
I think they're going to spend a few more bits, Sam, for sure. We're reporting on talkSPORT.com that a deal is now agreed for Ayoub Bouadi. We're expecting this anyway. 95 million euros up front, another 5 million euros in add-ons. Obviously, there's going to be a departure, Savinho to Tottenham for a significant transfer fee, potentially Omar Marmoush as well. And I am fully expecting Manchester City to make a bid for Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez, even though we were being told a couple of weeks ago the deadline for a £120 million offer had passed. So yeah, fascinating last week or so the window as far as Manchester City are concerned.
You say that about the deadline, but as I understand it, what will probably happen is that Chelsea will dress this up as saying, no, that deal, the way it was structured, the deadline was for that deal. Now, if you're going to do it now, you've got to pay in a certain different way. You have to pay more up front, or you have to do it over a certain, you have to pay in quicker instalments, I don't know. But that's how they'll dress it up, isn't it, to get around the fact that they had a hard deadline.
Yeah, and I think they were waiting for the money to come in for Rodri and to Gianni Reinders, who we expect to depart from the Middle East. And
why is that taking so long? It's been done for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a strange one. But certainly I've not been given any information to say that it won't happen. And obviously Savinho is going to be a Tottenham player, and potentially Marmoush as well. So they'll have the funds, Manchester City. I do think it leaves them a little bit short at the top end of the pitch, though, if they do sell Omar Marmoush. He's a backup to Erling Haaland. He can play in the 10 position as well. They've got Ryan Cherky who can do that role. But they don't really have a second striker, do they, if he goes?
Which is a problem, Perry Groves.
Yeah, very much so. And be interested to see how Erling Haaland goes with his new Barney. Because I must admit, I was shocked. The Viking look's gone. He's gone for the crew cut, hasn't he? So he's going to be like Samson, lose all his strength. So that'll be...
what? That is the vibe, though, isn't it? I've seen a few of the kids go for the proper chop and then sort of dye it blonde now. That's the sort of the old Gaza look. He's back again. Something that you might well bring back.
I haven't got enough money to go to Turkey, Sam, to be fair, and get a ginger tomcat to put on the head. So
I can't imagine Mickey Gray pulling that off.
He's already done.
I've had a plenty blood barn at let me tell you something. But yes, no, I didn't have to go to Turkey though, Terry, sorry. But yes, you're right. Look, his record in August is pretty frightening, Erling Haaland's. And I think it's going to have to continue on that vein if they're going to get something from an exciting Bournemouth side, who, let's not forget, still 18 unbeaten from last season. Yes, new coaches came in through the front door. But there's not many changes. I mean, there's only Silva came into the starting 11 who's going to play at the back, and the two other signings that they've made are going to be on the bench. But I just think this is a big day for Man City, a really important one.
Absolutely. They lost the Community Shield 3-0, 59% of the ball, but didn't do enough with it. That was a big problem for them. Let's see how they get on today against Bournemouth. Let's head there to find out how they line up. Here's talkSPORT's John Dunn.
Two changes to that 11 that lost to Arsenal in the Community Shield. In Enzo Maresca's first Premier League City lineup, Mark Gay and Rico Lewis are the two that come in replacing Mateo Kovacic on the bench, and the injured Jeremy Doku. A City League debut for Elliot Anderson, and Erling Haaland, sporting that new haircut, makes his 200th City appearance, and he's scored in each of the 4 opening Premier League games since arriving to these shores. For Bournemouth, they've also got a new head coach. It's former RB Leipzig boss Marco Rose looking to pick up from where Andoni Iraola left off. The Cherries unbeaten in their last 18 Premier League games of last season. 3 summer signings, only one of them starts. That's Antonio Silva, the defender from Benfica, while Sanchez and Alvaro Rodriguez start their Bournemouth career on the bench. Kick-off at 2 at the Etihad, Manchester City and Bournemouth.
We're for both those two clubs, Manchester City under Enzo Maresca and Marco Rose are taking charge of Bournemouth for the first time. Manchester City usually own opening days, 14 wins in their last 15 opening days of the season. Brighton are unbeaten in their last 5 season openers, and this is how they line up today. They've got Verbruggen in goal, Max Viper, Vuskovic, the new signing from Tottenham, Duncan, Pascali make up the back 4. It's Gross and Ayari anchoring the midfield, and then Gomez, Hinshelwood and De Kuyper behind Jorginho Ruter in attack. Alex Crook, you've seen a lot of Brighton so far. I think both of us are a little bit
concerned about the fact that they don't have an out-and-out striker because Rutter is not that. Will they get one?
Well, there's no suggestion at the moment there's going to be an out-and-out striker coming in, which is slightly odd, as you say, because I commentated for talkSPORT 2, their European game in midweek, a 0-0 draw, a decent result away from home in Norway on the face of it, but he did struggle, Rutter. He didn't really make the ball stick. He didn't really lead the line as you would want from a number 9. I do think it's an area they like him. They've got a lot of hopes for the boy Kostulas, but he's still very raw and he still makes a lot of in-game mistakes. That I think is why Fabian Hertzler won't necessarily trust him from the start. So intrigued to see what they do in the final week of the window. Negotiations are ongoing as well. Carlos Baleba is off to Manchester United, but still a chance that Yankuba Minte joins Liverpool. And I think that leaves them really short.
I'm going to give you some other team news which I want you to react to in just a second, so stay there, because Aston Villa have named their team for that game down at the Amex Stadium. Marco Bizot is the goalkeeper. We wondered whether Suzuki would play. He doesn't play from the start today. Cash, Torres, Lindelof and Martson make up the back four for Aston Villa. Kamara and Gomez, who they signed from Wolverhampton Wanderers, anchor the midfield. And then the three behind the attacker, Hemmings, Barkley and McGinn, and the striker, Buendia.
I mean, that looks a bang average Aston Villa team, can we say? When you look at the players that won the Europa League last season, obviously finished in the top 5 in the Premier League as well. The reason Ollie Watkins has been left out, and obviously we've not heard any comments yet from Unai Emery, is because he wants to go to Al Hilal. He's agreed personal terms. They've had numerous bids rejected. I think that deal could well happen between now and September the 1st, and if it does, I would expect Villa to really step up their interest in Nicholas Jackson. I know they're confident of signing Taylor Harwood-Bellis from Southampton, but a lot of Aston Villa fans seem underwhelmed at the prospect of taking a player from the Championship to replace England international Ezri Konsa.
Let me just give you the substitutes bench as well, Perry Grove, for Aston Villa. Lamar Bogard, Burrows, Garnacho, Lynch, Mings, Rowe, Ruggieri, Suzuki, the goalkeeper they've just signed, and Allison, the youngster, as well. A very youthful-looking and inexperienced-looking bench, apart from Garnacho and Mings. I mean, when you look at what Aston Villa achieved under Unai Emery, what must he be thinking?
To be fair, he's all of his press conferences, he's been very upbeat, isn't he? He's been very, which he has to be. He has to be that.
He wasn't last season, though, was he? But, I mean, last season when they were in this situation, he was pretty moody about it.
Yeah, but he still probably thinks if he goes in and his aura isn't right and his positivity isn't there, then that'll rub off on his team. And just looking at his team there, that to me looks like a team that we're playing on a Thursday night in the Conference League or in Europa League, do you know what I mean, where you're resting your players. And we all know they're treading water, Aston Villa, and they used to have the armbands on. Obviously now losing Tielemans, Rodgers and Konsa. Now they've got the armbands, they're swimming against the tide with someone's let their armbands down, because it's impossible for a team like Aston Villa to keep improving when you sell your best. If you lose one of your best players, Sam, and then you invest that money wisely, then maybe you could progress. But if you keep losing 3 or 4 of your best players, it is virtually impossible for them to regularly challenge to get in those Champions League positions. So, would you be surprised at the end of the season, if Aston Villa have an average season and say they come in the top 10, that Unai thinks my job's done here? I can't take this any further.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. We'll see how they get on today. They kick off at 2 o'clock. We'll keep you updated here on talkSPORT. Let's get the latest odds from Paddy Power.
Game day odds update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18 plus, gamble.org.
It's talkSPORT, and I'm delighted to say that Kevin Palmer from Paddy Power joins us now. Kevin, hello. Happy new season to you. What are the pre-match odds for Manchester City against Bournemouth and Brighton against Aston Villa?
Sam, a big weekend. I'm delighted to have the Premier League back in our lives. We've been missing it over the last few weeks. The World Cup was great, but the Premier League on a Sunday is what it's all about. Looking ahead to this afternoon, lots of big odds. I mean, I think it might be worth just reflecting just briefly on yesterday, because there's so much changes over this course of this weekend. Man United, top 4 odds have drifted from 5 to 6 favourites to 5 to 4 against, and Spurs have drifted from evens to 11 to 8 to finish in the top 6. We always change things very quickly at this time of the year, Sam. We already paid out on Celtic winning the Scottish Premiership, so we're not messing about, Paddy Power. We know how to make these things exciting. Looking ahead to today, Bournemouth 5 to 1 to get a big win at the Etihad. Most people would expect Man City to win at 4 to 9, and no surprise, that Erling Haaland is 12 to 5 to open the scoring with that wonderful new haircut of his. I think that's going to be one of the big talking points on social media over the next few days. Looking at the Brighton Villa game, interesting Villa team news you just read out there. And Brighton are 21 to 20 to win. Villa are 5 to 2 to get the away win. And it is looking tough, isn't it, for Unai Emery with the players that have gone, and also looking ahead to what he can get in over the next couple of weeks. That financial fair play is really kicking in for Villa, so tough for them.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all thanks to Paddy Power, 18 plus, beatgambleware.org.
Game day odds update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18 plus, gambleware.org.
West Bromwich Albion against Burnley is live over on talkSPORT 2 from the EFL Championship. 4 minutes of regular time to play, and West Bromwich Albion lead by 3 goals to 1. 2 goals from Price, including a penalty after 65 minutes. Burnley getting an early goal, Callum Starr's own goal after 8 minutes, but since then it's been all one-way traffic. Ian Danter leading the commentary team over on talkSPORT 2 right now. 2 o'clock also signals the start of the Dutch Grand Prix, and Tom Clayton is watching.
Well, the rain has fallen in the hour building up to this race, but it's an odd phenomenon because half of the circuit's soaking wet, the other half's almost bone dry because the rain can virtually localise to one part of the track. So work to be done for the drivers to decide how to start this race. The reigning world champion Lando Norris leads us off as his title challenge finally kicks into gear. He won last time out in Hungary and McLaren after a resurgence after the summer break. Also hoping for a bounce back is George Russell. The Mercedes driver was out-and-out favourite start of the season. Bad luck and the emergence of a superstar in his teammate means he has some catching up to do. Russell goes from second, 1 ahead of that superstar teammate Kimi Antonelli, who's won 6 of the 11 Grand Prix this season and holds a 53-point lead at the top of the championship. We'll wave goodbye to the Dutch Grand Prix today as Zandvoort leaves the calendar in 2027, replaced by the Portuguese Grand Prix at Portimao. George Russell took a dominant win in the sprint race yesterday. Can he replicate that this afternoon in Zandvoort, a town which not only hosts the Dutch Grand Prix, but also houses one of the most popular beach resorts in the Netherlands. So it's buckets and spades at the ready, lights out at 2 p.m. for the Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah, hope you packed your budgie smugglers. That's Tom Clayton who's keeping us in touch with the Dutch Grand Prix. Lando Norris chasing a little bit of momentum. McLaren signed off in style before the summer break with a 3rd successive Hungarian Grand Prix victory. And additional updates planned on the car for this weekend, including a new rear wing and rear brake ducts as well. We'll keep you updated throughout the course of the afternoon. This is Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with Now, you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly in minutes, like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today, streamed via the internet term supply. Next, we're looking ahead to our 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League, Manchester City, Bournemouth, and Brighton, Aston Villa.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now, like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus, stream our internet terms apply. The Premier League is back, and to celebrate a brand new season, talkSPORT Bet have got a brand new offer for brand new customers. Just open a new account, opt in, deposit and bet between £10 and £30 on any football market and evens or higher within a week, and we'll match your stake in free bets to use on selected markets within 7 days. For this and other outstanding odds, visit talksportbet.com. talkSPORT Bet, Gladys Bank broadcaster, bring it on booking. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus, gambleware.org. Get back to school lunches packed with value at Aldi. You can fill 5 lunch boxes for under £4.50, including white rolls, British cooked ham, cheese triangles, mini bananas, little delights fromage frais, and chopped iceberg lettuce. That's top monster value. Aldi, which best value brand of the year 2026? Get more bang for your bet with Quiff. Whatever the horse, wicket, set, or score. Any bet you place with Quiff could be instantly boosted to bigger odds. Any market, any sport, we call it a supercharged bet. And it's only available at Quiff. Download the app or visit quiff.com today. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Football is the hero. Game Day Live. talkSPORT.
The Premier League is back in session, and what a way to kick off the new campaign.
Sam, as a face shortly, we'll be looking ahead to the 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League today. Manchester City host Bournemouth and Aston Villa travel to Brighton. But first, elsewhere today, Newcastle against Liverpool kicks off at 4:30. There'll be tributes to Kevin Keegan in the build-up to that game. I think Keegan 7 mosaic is going to be unfurled away to our left-hand side in the Leesy's End just before kick-off. In the Championship, it's West Bromwich Albion 3, Burnley 1. They're into added time there. That's exclusively live on talkSPORT 2. In the Dutch Grand Prix, Lando Norris is on pole. That gets started in around about 10 minutes' time. We'll keep you up to date with everything right here on talkSPORT. Let's get to the game down at the Amex Stadium. Brighton home Albion taking on a depleted Aston Villa. The headline team news comes from Toby Gillings.
Yeah, summer of key personnel heading out the door of both these clubs, and maybe at this stage are feeling neither have yet done the business to be as strong as last season. Confirmation, Sam, with speculation over Ollie Watkins' future. He's not in the Villa squad either. Neither Emi Martinez. It's Oko Fizo between the sticks. Zion Suzuki only on the bench. Premier League debut for record signing Luka Vuskovic for Brighton, while Promise David starts on the bench for the Seagulls, but without Carlos Baleba as well. For Villa, Joao Gomez makes his first start, and 19-year-old winger George Hemmings gets his first league start. No Brian Maggio, though, the striker, he's got a knock. Alejandro Garnacho's on the bench. Record signing Johan Manzambi, not yet fit after injury. So Emi Buendia starting up top. And a footnote here for Brighton as well. A 300th Premier League appearance for captain Lewis Dunn. From the Amex, it's Brighton against Villa.
Brighton's defence was absolutely elite last season. When you look at the statistics over the course of the campaign, only Arsenal and Manchester City conceded fewer goals than Brighton's 46. Yet they've spent quite a bit of money in that area. They brought in Vuskovic to replace Van Hecker. What the biggest issue for Brighton was a lack of finishing quality. When you look at their forward players, do you think that's where they might struggle, Perry Groves?
Yeah, obviously Danny Welbeck's gone. He had a really good season last season, not just obviously for the goals that he got, but you know the calmness that he was bringing to Brighton. He could hold the ball up. I'm just looking at Lewis Dunk, Sam, because Toby said it's his 300th game. It's the most Brighton players played in the Premier League, and he looks like he's playing at left back. So if you're Aston Villa, if you're John McGinn, it looks like he might be playing that right side of the three behind Buendia. You'll be trying to overload that side, because Lewis Dunk, for as good player he is and adapter he is, he doesn't really isolate out on that left-hand side. I think that's Fabian Hertzler saying to Tony Bloom, the hierarchy, by the way, we desperately need a left-back, a natural left-back.
Do we think they're definitely going to be 4-2-3-1, Toby, or do you think there's a chance with Maxime de Kuyper he could play as a sort of left wing back, and they could play 3 at the back with Beaver pushing further forward on that right hand side? That is possible, isn't it, Toby?
It certainly crossed my mind. I have to say that when you look at all of Brighton's own media today, they have got Dunk at left back, but certainly I look at it, you think De Kuyper certainly very capable of playing at left back. 3 at the back makes sense. Dunk can sort of marshal Vuskovic on this Premier League debut as well. And there's so much versatility about these players. We've seen Diego Gomez play multiple positions. Beaver, as you mentioned, Jack Hinshelwood is like the ultimate utility player, has played all over the place. So absolutely anything is possible. I've simply gone with what everyone Brighton, who I've spoken to, and all of their own media is saying at the moment.
It's the first day of the season. Anything could happen. Everyone's moving around and shifting around. And Brighton are very fluid in possession of the football. So let's see how they line up. We'll get back to Toby throughout the course of the afternoon. Let's check in with Aston Villa, though, because Unai Emery, talking in the build-up to this game, discussed the absence of Ollie Watkins, discussed his future, because he's not in the Aston Villa squad today, the England man. And the boss said earlier this week that his future was up in the air.
He's our player. We don't want to sell him. Now he's our player, and of course still 10 days more or less to finish the transfer window. We'll see what it happens, but he's our player, and I am happy with him. And of course, in case he is staying with us, he is continuing playing at his level.
He was pretty sort of non-committal there, and the reason he was non-committal is because we understand that Ollie Watkins wants to go and join Al Hilal. How surprised are you about that, Perry Groves?
obviously we go to Al Hilal, we know obviously the financial riches, you know, anybody if you're off that sort of money, so it's easy when you're not offered that money, but if you're offered millions and millions and millions of pounds, which is going to be generational money for your family, it's very difficult to turn down. The only thing I would say is that it's always going to be there, and if you think with Ollie Watkins, he's not on the decline, you know, he keeps himself fit, we know that his attitude's great, and it's a strange one because Unai Emery, I know a lot of managers saying about the future and we've got projects, whatever. The most important game that Aston Villa have that is now. You want to start off the season. We saw Man United think about place out yesterday, and Spurs think place out. That puts you under pressure. So it's a really strange thing because it's not going to be his attitude. So you know Ollie Watkins, you've been in his company, you know what sort of character he is. So worst ways out, you'd have him on the bench just in case you needed to chuck him on for sort of half an hour. So it'll be interesting to see how Buendia goes. Obviously in that sort of the false nine, or you know, sort of they play 2 10s. So I can understand Ollie Watkins, but if it was me personally, I'd maybe wait until Malik's got a little bit, and I still think he's got another season, 2 seasons that he can easily handle the Premier League.
West Bromwich Albion at the moment by 3 goals to 1. West Brom up to second in the Championship as a result of that. That's just finished over on talkSPORT 2. One of 3 teams to win both their games so far this season, and a pretty impressive start by them at the start of the campaign. James Morrison appointed as the West Brom boss in late April, and I'll tell you what, actually the Hawthorns coming a little bit. They're extended their winning streak to 6 matches after winning against Norwich on the opening day. That's now 7, and that was after the back of pre-season where they won all 4 of their friendly matches and then thumped Rotherham in the EFL Cup as well. So a very good start for West Bromwich Albion. Not a great start for Manchester City last week in the Community Shield, but no one really does banners and pompous circumstance and over-the-top welcomings like Manchester City, and certainly they've done one of those today. Here's John Dunn and Mickey Gray.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. There is a banner that has been unfurled from the bottom of the 3rd tier, from the stand opposite us, where we sit just behind the tunnel. Welcome back, Enzo. Covers from the bottom of the top tier all the way down to the bottom of the lower tier. It's come down in 3 parts. Now, I would say, and I hope this isn't a sign, one of the 3 parts just wasn't quite coming down the way they wanted it to, but a bit of effort, a bit of teamwork, and they have got it down. To the goal to our right, there is a welcome to Enzo, and then above it there is a black and white, almost a picture of Enzo being greeted by Pep with a cigar, Roberto Mancini and Manuel Pellegrini, the 3 kind of predecessors to Enzo Maresca. Was an assistant here under Pep. That is why it is a welcome back to Enzo. This is his first Premier League game as the main man. Of course they lost last week to Arsenal in the Community Shield, but Mickey, they're looking to hit their stride in the first game in the Premier League today.
Yeah, it was more of a slow reveal, a bit like Man City's performance last week against Arsenal, wasn't it? And it was the picture of Enzo Maresca that came down very slowly, but yeah, they don't do things by half here at City anymore, do they? But he'll know the importance of getting off to a good start. I think there's a bit of anticipation in the stadium as well with the supporters. What kind of performance are they going to get? Well, they're in for one today because this Bournemouth side won't level. You know, they've got some quality players and they'll expect to try and come here and win.
Bournemouth have beat City only once in 26 previous meetings. Bournemouth have never won when they've come to play Manchester City in Manchester. Teams are coming out onto the field in a full house at Etihad Stadium. Kick-off not far away, Manchester City. And Bournemouth has the fireworks explode into the air with blue smoke, very much a welcome.
Yes, Omar Mamouche on the bench today, despite being linked with a move to Tottenham Hotspur. Mickey Gray, City have sold Rodri, Bernardo Silva, John Stones has left the building as well. Is their squad deep enough to cause problems for Arsenal in the title race?
I don't think so, Sam. Look, it's a new era. Those players that you just mentioned there leading this football club is huge on and off the field, and they need to sort it out very quickly.
Ahead of the match, the new Manchester City boss, Enzo Maresca, who's been given a very big welcome back to the Etihad today, has been explaining how he plans to replace Rodri in his team.
I'll try to find a new Rodri. Rodri, when I arrived here, he didn't win the Ballon d'Or, he didn't win the Champions League, he didn't win the Club World Cup, then joined the club, and then after, he achieved many important things. And now the target for us is try to find the new Rodri. When David Silva was here, everyone was worried. Kevin arrived. When Agüero was here, everyone was worried. Erling arrived. Fernandinho, Rodri arrived. It's just about this. When they leave, you need to be good
in the last few minutes. Dan Burn, the new Newcastle United captain, expects to be out for several weeks with an ankle injury that he suffered in training, which is bad news for Newcastle United and their new manager, Matthias Geisler. Dan Burn expected to be out for several weeks, probably means he will not play today. In fact, probably definitely does mean he won't play today. That was Enzo Maresca you just heard. Wonder whether or not he's talking about Buwadi there, Perry Groves. £95.5 million euro fee agreed for him. We all saw him in the World Cup. He's an absolutely brilliant talent, but coming into the Premier League requires a certain robustness as well. He was pretty effective in America. Will he be in the Premier League?
Sam is 18 years of age, coming from a different league, you know, where the league he's in is nowhere near as physical. The World Cup, Sam, you know, is totally different football. You know, it's not as physical, there's not as many robust challenges. And if he was coming in, the ideal player to have with him would be Rodri, because you need the shepherd with you too. You got Anderson and Buwadi, they're your two old English sheepdogs, and Rodri just standing in the middle protecting the two centre halves. So it's not, you saw against Arsenal how open Man City's midfield was. And also, if you're the two centre halves, it looks like it's going to be Diaz and Gerrard today, you're going to be a bit more exposed. Man City's back four is going to be more exposed. It's not just in midfield they're going to struggle, because that's what Rodri did. And you know, we talked about Erling Haaland, you know, he's Tony Sal gone, he's got Eminem sort of Barnett now. when I've been lucky enough, and you're lucky enough to watch the games, when Man City were coming out and warming up, and Rodri came out, I know he was 6'3", he looked like he was about 6'7", 6'8". You know, when someone has that aura and that stature, and it's like, don't worry lads, I'm here, that is gone. And I said last season, I thought Man City's aura had gone, where teams knew that even if they were behind, you knew you could get at them. That is the problem they're going to have. And with Elliot Anderson, well, there might be a time when, obviously he couldn't turn down the win, but sometimes you go at a club at the wrong time, and this could be the wrong time, because I think this season is going to be a season where they're going to have to stay patient with Enzo Maresca, because Man City aren't going to blow teams away like they used to. And I agree with Mickey, I don't think they're going to have enough, in not just to start bit in their squad, to be title challengers.
Well, let's see what happens, because they face Bournemouth today, who ended last season with a terrific run. They were unbeaten in their last 3 months of the season. They were almost untouchable. Marco Rosa is their new boss, and Alex Crook sat down with him earlier in the week and discussed how it feels to have taken over from Andoni Iraola.
Very excited, but of course I'm a coach for a long time, trained many clubs, so football is football, it stays always the same, and on the level we are working, it's mostly about results. I got to know the lads in the club, and everything is
Yeah, very big shoes to fill for Marco Rosa, who comes in. He started well in management and was very well thought of in German football for a long time.
Soon, official betting partner William Hill, 18+, gambleware.org.
EFL Live on talkSPORT 2 with Sage, official accounting software partner of the EFL, supporting the businesses behind the badge.
On DAB+.
Test for them. Tributes going on at the moment to Kevin Keegan at the Etihad Stadium, just about to kick off. Also kicking off in our other 2 o'clock kickoff. Brighton and Hove Albion against Aston Villa. Trevor Gillis is our reporter. We'll keep you updated with that. West Bromwich Albion currently full time. We've got reaction with talkSPORT 2 commentator and former Burnley striker Chris Owellamo very shortly. We'll look back on what was another very impressive win for James Morrison and for West Bromwich Albion. This is Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Next, we'll be giving you updated with all the 2 o'clock kickoffs. Manchester City against Bournemouth, Brighton against Aston Villa, and we'll review that championship victory for West Brom.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
With any job, there's a part you enjoy and a part that follows you home. But what if it didn't? What if the drawings, photos, RFIs and reports were already sorted before you left the construction site? So when you're done, you're done. Trimble Project Sites. Unified project and site management in your hands. No chasing, no retyping, no evening admin. Take your time back. Search Project Site. Trimble Project Site.
reinforcements. Army definition. Extra troops or supplies deployed to strengthen an existing force. Football definition. Bringing 3 world-class players off the bench at 60 minutes. You're already speaking our language. You belong here. Search Army jobs.
Train toilet door didn't work. Lock didn't work. Everyone's seen me on the ball. Didn't work. Train toilet door didn't work.
Bet £10. Get £30 in free bets with Midnight. Search Midnight Sports or download the Midnight app today. Nicholas Mazzoni, restricted and T&Cs apply. 18 plus. No responsible. Gamble aware.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus. Stream our internet. Terms apply.
On 10:89 and 10:53 medium wave. Online, on your mobile, on the app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT. Sunday Game Day Live on DAB. Online, on your mobile, on the talkSPORT app. Football's #1 superfast stadium safari. From the touchline to the terraces, the UK's essential kit-connected gridwork hub, Bournemouth. Sunday Game Day live. talkSPORT.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Game Day Live with me, Sam Motherface, live at St James's Park ahead of Newcastle United against Liverpool coming up at 4:30 this afternoon. In the Premier League, they're underway at the Etihad Stadium, where it's Manchester City nil, Bournemouth nil. That kicked off at 2 o'clock. They're a little bit later kicking off at the Etihad because of the tributes to Kevin Keegan. As a result of that, they've only played a couple of minutes there. They're a bit further ahead down at the Amex Stadium, where Brighton against Aston Villa is underway. It's still 0-0. West Bromwich Albion have beaten Burnley in the Championship, and they are one of a clutch of teams that have managed to win both their opening games so far in that division. Lando Norris is the early leader after starting on pole as the Dutch Grand Prix gets into swing. Rugby League, Super League, Warrington Wolves against Huddersfield Giants kicks off at 3, live commentary on talkSPORT 2. Also, York Knights against Leeds Rhinos at 3 o'clock this afternoon. You're up to date. This is talkSPORT, taking you around the grounds on a Sunday afternoon. Right, let's get to the Etihad Stadium. And John Dunn, a discussion about the formation that Manchester City are playing, please, because Phil Foden looks like he's playing on the right. Rico Lewis looks like he's playing at right back. And is that Mark Gay in the centre of midfield?
It certainly is, Sam. We've had nearly 4 minutes. Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0. City have just had a chance. Rico Lewis with a shot at the near post after good work by Haaland, and Foden as the header from O'Reilly goes onto the roof of net. Now, we heard a rumour when we arrived, me and Mickey, that Mark Gay would be in midfield. We very quickly kind of spoke to a number of people who went, no, that won't happen. It has happened. So the back four, Rico Lewis, right back, will move into midfield, inverted. Kusanov, Diaz, and Vardy on left back. But then it's Mark Gay alongside Elliot Anderson in the centre of midfield, which has caught us all out. 4 minutes gone, Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0.
Back with you just a second, but the opening goal of this Sunday Premier League afternoon has happened down at the Amex for Toby Gillies.
Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Aston Villa 0, their first attack of the game. Forward down the right-hand side, long hopeful ball. Victor Lindelof, not sure what he was doing, gives it away. It falls to Maxim de Kuiper. He manages to turn the right way, and the man on the line couldn't stop it, creeping in at the near post into the empty net. It's Brighton 1, Aston Villa 0.
Barry Groves, you've seen the goal. What did you make of it?
What is Lindelof doing, Sam? Obviously, he's got no idea, no awareness what's going on around him. He just plays it back inside. To be fair to Kuiper, he does brilliantly because he's got his back to goal. Obviously, Bizot is completely out of his goal. And as he turns, he scribbles, puts it into the back of the net. And that's actually, this sounds ridiculous against the run of play because Buendia had 2 massive chances for Aston Villa. Again, with Brighton trying to play out from the back. So, this game, Brighton against Aston Villa, trust me, this could be the way that he started in this first 9 minutes. This could end up 4-4.
Yeah, well, it's certainly going to go down as an own goal against Victor Lindelof, I think. And Unai Emery standing on the touchline now, trying to revive his team as a result of that. It was enterprising play from Brighton and Hove Albion in the opening minutes of the game. But also, they have to be alert in that situation, Aston Villa. Bizot and Lindelof getting themselves in all sorts
of trouble. Conversations between Pau Torres and Bizot completely losing track of where they were. It's actually come off the post from De Kuyper, hit Lindelof, and then gone into the net. And Brighton lead by 1-0 down at the Amex Stadium. Let's speak to Chris Iwelumo, who's part of our commentary team at the Hawthorns this afternoon. That game has just finished over on talkSPORT 2. Finished West Bromwich Albion 3, Burnley 1. Hi, Chris.
Good afternoon, Sam. Perry. Both okay?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Great for West Bromwich Albion, still back-to-back wins in the Championship. How impressive were they against relegated Burnley?
Yeah, they were outstanding today. You know, really good with the ball, controlled the game from first minute to last, got the goals, got some real good talent there as well. Harry Whitwell, unbelievable today. Malumbi comes back in, you know what you're going to get. They controlled it, Sam, even though they got the goal, conceded that early goal. Just carried on playing the same way. You know, James Morrison barking his instructions in, but they've got a clear identity, trying to use the expanse, use the wings and end product coming into the box, and like I say, play very, very composed in possession as well. So without the ball, they have an understanding of the responsibilities. Everyone works hard with energy, try and press high, force the issue. No, really justified and warranted the points today.
Talk to me about James Morrison and the impact he has had on West Brom since becoming the manager.
Yeah, well, he's been under a few stewards here, hasn't he? You know, so he's spoken to all these managers. He's got his own ideas. He kind of simplified it. You know, he's got a fantastic return. Was that 7 wins, 6 draws, and only 2 losses in the games that he's taken charge of. So I just feel that he's implemented it. He's had a lot of time on the grass. You can see that. He's brought in some new staff as well, having people that you can trust behind you, that's not going to be yes men, that's going to question you, challenge you, make you better. And the players know him, you know, and I think that's something they've bought into what he wants from them. He puts high demands on the players. And I've got to say, once they cross that line, they've taken on that responsibility. And this place was absolutely rocking today. The fans played a massive part, but the players are feeding off that as well. Very, very impressed. But I think when you look at the bench as well, they've got quality and depth there. There's no reason why they can't carry this on.
Burnley yet to win in 2 Championship games. How difficult is it, the adaptation to the Championship after being relegated? Your former club, of course, they're out without Zion Fleming because of injury, and they're lacking a bit of a focal point, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. No, Bruce have actually done okay in the first half. You know, when you're looking at players around them, you know, like Marcus Edwards, you know, Bruno Larson actually done all okay. Ramsey needs to kind of lift it again, kind of get that kind of those performances out of him. But he showed his adaptability today. I would feel he understood that West Brom were going to have more of the ball. He played he sat in and tried to play kind of counter-attack football. I think be brave. You're Burnley. The expectations there. Get on the ball. You want to play a possession game. You've got the players and experience to do that. Go take the game to West Brom, quieten these fans down. They never really done that, and then that transition just weren't good enough at all today.
No Orna Hegebo, but no problem for James Morrison and West Bromwich Albion. They managing to put 2 wins back to back. Just one more question on Burnley, because obviously loads of talk about, you know, whether they're a yo-yo team. Now, West Brom were that team for so long, weren't they? They were the team that kept coming up, going down, going up, going down. And of course, they ended up being, in the end, now they're sort of almost settled in the Championship. With Burnley, do you think that they've shown enough ambition under Alan Pace, who, if I remember rightly, when they first bought the club, he said that everyone was going to be blown away by this new sort of viewpoint of ownership, a change in the way that a football club was owned, and it was going to be all very different at the Clarets. Well, it hasn't really been, has it? It's been up and down, up and down, up and down. And actually, I'm not entirely sure they're equipped to come back up again this time around.
Well, I have to probably agree with you on the latter. I don't think they've invested well enough to actually go and challenge and be competitive. You know, I feel a new manager's come in, he's got ideas, he's thought of very highly. But he's got to have that support, and it's all about the players. I think a few players are still to leave the building as well. Zion Fleming, he's attracted a lot of. They have to make sure they keep hold of him. You know, he is that threat. He is the one that's going to get you goals.
Doesn't it?
It does sound like that, but it is a genuine injury. He hasn't trained all week. But like I say, I'm sure if they can keep hold of him, that'll be a massive coup. But it's going to be a difficult task.
Chris speak to Chris, as always, Chris Wellamo, who's joining us live from the Hawthorns as West Bromwich Albion record a second successive victory. No win yet for Burnley in 2 championship games. No win for West Ham United afterwards. Also, because after losing 2-1 at home to Charlton yesterday, Nuno Espirito Santo said that his side let the fans down this weekend.
The problem is this for us. We let them down today. We let them down. We were not able to do what they deserve. It was a win. We let them down.
That was Nuno Espirito Santo speaking to us after the game yesterday. You were at the London Stadium yesterday, Perry. West Ham and Burnley starting the season without winning their opening 2 games. Who's in a worse situation?
Well, from what I saw yesterday, I would say West Ham, because they were just like a bunch of individuals, Sam. Charlton Athletic under Nathan Jones, they were a team. They outran and outworked West Ham, and there was obviously consolation at half time. Obviously, West Ham going in 1-0 down, and all around the pitch, the work ethic from Charlton Athletic was amazing, because on the wings they had Grant on one side, Campbell on the other. They were protecting the 2 fullbacks, McNamara and Bell, and there was an incident in the first half where Charlton attacked down their left-hand side. Walker Peters was 1v1 with Campbell, and Jared Bowen just jogged back. You know, when you go, right, I've got to go and protect my fullback and like double up on him, and there was just no work ethic from West Ham whatsoever. Pirro and Castellanos up front, they weren't linking up at all. There was no Engels had a really poor debut, kept giving the ball away. So yeah, I agree with that. Although they did 1-1 draw and lost by West Ham, in the 3 games they've played, they haven't had a decent performance. Against Portsmouth at home, they were really, really poor. So, and when Castellanos missed his penalty, that was justice for Charlton, because that would have been very, very harsh on them if they hadn't won that game yesterday. And Castellanos could have been sent off. He pushed a Charlton defender in the face of palm his hand. He dived to try and get a penalty as well. So I'm thinking with Hegerberg, you know, him with his suspension with the 2 games, for what they said was deliberately deceiving the officials. So what they're going to do with Castellanos then, because he gets booked for a dive, is that not deliberately trying to deceive the officials? That's worse.
Well, that's certainly something that the FA may well end up looking into. As far as West Brom are concerned, they take on Newcastle in the Carabao Cup second round. It's live on talkSPORT 2 on Wednesday night. After their victory today, they might well be encouraged to come here to St James's Park. We'll have live commentary. Lucy Wall will be with me for that. Burnley travels to Bradford on the same evening. That's Wednesday. Updates on talkSPORT, which will have live commentary of Spurs against Charlton. Nathan Jones certainly enjoyed himself after the game yesterday, didn't he? Celebrating in front of a very happy travelling Charlton contingent. What about the Dutch Grand Prix? Tom Clayton can tell us about the early stages.
Well, I can tell you about the early stages of the Grand Prix. We are officially on lap number 3, but we've been under red flag conditions since the start of this race, pretty much because of a significant major crash for Max Verstappen on that final corner. Now, I told you in the build-up that half of the track was wet and half of the track was dry. We thought that because of the rain subsiding, that the drivers would be okay to start on the slick tyres to try and carry that through until the dry conditions fully returned. But then onto one of the fastest and probably the dampest parts of the circuit, in the final corner, Max Verstappen was caught out by slippery conditions. He caught the car in a drift and went hurtling off into the barriers at about 150 miles an hour. He is out of the car, he is fine, but he is out of this Grand Prix. Lando Norris is the race leader, and yeah, it's what's going to happen, I'm not quite sure. But we are, I think, going to get underway fairly shortly again for this Dutch Grand Prix, a little later than scheduled. Lando Norris leads on about lap number 3.
Let's go down to the Amex Stadium. We've just had a massive miss at the Etihad. We'll get to John Dunn in just a second, but we've got another goal for talkSPORT's Toby Gillies.
Brighton 2, Aston Villa 0, and it's a Clockers. First one will go down to an own goal by Lindelof. This one is all his. It was brilliant work down the left by Jorginho Rutter, driving to the byline, past the Villa defence, squared it into the box, to Kuiper between the 2 centre-backs, and taps it home into an empty net. Brighton 2, Aston Villa 0.
I wouldn't say he's a regular goal scorer, but he's had a great start to the season, hasn't he? Maxime de Kuiper with the influential play to lead to the first goal.
and then scoring the second. Certainly no doubt about that. Only his third ever Brighton goal, and Brighton lead by 2-0 against a haphazard Aston Villa. Perry Groves.
Sam, that's right, Sam, there's your favourite high line. The high line of Aston Villa with no pressure on the ball whatsoever. I said about Lewis Dunk, didn't I, in the left back position. He's not under any pressure. He just lost the ball over the top of the Aston Villa back four, which are basically on the halfway line. He timed his run perfectly into that left-hand channel. Your favourite player, Pau Torres, comes over. He's got to make sure he engages him. Just a really, really sloppy, poor challenge. Return goes past him, gets to the byline, and Ducopa does exactly what all brilliant centre forwards should do: get in between the posts. As the ball just is cut back, he taps it into an empty net. Aston Villa are all over the place.
Bad news for Unai Emery, not the start of the season that he would have wanted. 2-0 down before we've even played 20 minutes down at the Amex Stadium. And let's be honest, Brighton and Hove Albion, very, very good on the opening day of the season. Unbeaten in their last 5 season openers. They're going to be unbeaten this one, barring a miracle. They lead Aston Villa by 2-0. If I remember rightly, there was an end-to-end ding-dong game between the two, the last season or the season before, in which I think Brighton took a healthy lead in and Aston Villa came back in. I'll check that out. But Brighton certainly have a healthy lead today, and it's a very different-looking Aston Villa, that is for sure. It's a different-looking Erling Haaland as well. And boys, he missed a golden opportunity. Mickey Gray and John Dunn.
17 minutes gone, Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0. Haaland, yeah, not sure what he did. It was a lung-busting run from Nico O'Reilly from the halfway line, got to the adjacent to the penalty area, swung it across. Haaland was free inside the 6-yard area. You're expecting a comfortable header into the back of the net. Got himself all mixed up, came off his thigh, and it was James Hill who cleared easily off the line. You wonder about the Samson effect, because Haaland has lost the flowing blonde locks. He's gone for the crew cut. Is it even the Fernando Torres effect? Remember when he cut his hair and seemed to stop scoring? City have certainly dominated in the early stages, but Bournemouth had a chance. Bardiol and Diaz combined to give Ryan an opportunity in down the right-hand side. That was a shot at the near post. Donnarumma turning that one around the post. Ryan ended the season in great form. 3 goals in his last 5 appearances. It's been a frantic opening.
Yeah, it has. Man City, a lot of dominance, a lot of possession, should be in the front with the opportunities they've had. Nico O'Reilly, fantastic down that left-hand side. How Erling Haaland has missed that, I still don't know. I'm scratching my head. But defensively, and you mentioned it, John, Mark Gay's playing in that midfield position. It's a bit messy. They're giving the ball away. Nico O'Reilly's given the ball away on 1 or 2 occasions. Rico Lewis has given the ball away. But Guardiola's been fortunate on a couple of occasions as well. And there's chances there for Bournemouth if they take the game to Man City. Look, I'm still working out why he's playing in centre midfield, Mark Gay. He's done okay, I have to say. We probably need that little bit of physicality in that midfield area. But I think moving forward, it's certainly something I wouldn't want to see week in, week out.
Just to clear up pre-match, we had an immaculate applause for Kevin Keegan, former City boss. Of course, Sam, where you are, you'll have a much more emotional tribute to Kevin Keegan later on. Endo Maresca, all black suit, greeted by warm applause from the Manchester City fans. More for a fashionista like you, Sam. The suit just looks a bit big and a bit baggy. It looks like a child going back to high school and the mum just saying, yeah, he'll grow into it. Just a bit too baggy for me, but maybe that is just me. 20 minutes gone, Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0.
John, you need to get with the new vogue. It's called oversized, fella, all right? That's what it's all about.
Baggy's in.
The big and the baggy. The baggy is in, definitely.
The baggies are on fire today.
And the baggies are in as well. They're on trend right now. They won again today against Burnley. I think we should talk a little bit about this Mark Gay in central midfield situation. Because let's be clear, it's not as if they don't have a central midfielder or 2 on the bench. Mateo Kovacic, Nico Gonzalez, Matheus Nunes are all sitting on the bench. Why is Mark Gay playing in midfield?
Probably because Enzo Maresca is sending out a message to the owners that they need to find another Rodri. Now, the other thing as well, Sam, I know Nico O'Reilly's playing obviously in the sort of the 10, but he's a player that you think, right, if you want that little bit of strength, physicality in there, someone who's good on the ball, when he's playing left back, he can go into that inverted midfield area. He'd probably fancy his chances playing in there as well. So Enzo Maresca will say that because Man City was so open through the centre of their midfield against Arsenal in the Community Shield, that's why he's put him in there, because he thinks more defensively, just for that bit more sort of protection. But again, it's not a subtle message to the owners that you need another centre midfield player.
Well, I'm not entirely sure whether it is a subtle message to the owners or whether or not he's just overcomplicating things, because let's be completely honest, you know, he does have a habit of sort of tinkering around with teams and formations. I mean, Mark Gay, I think he did play a bit in central midfield when he was a young kid, but he's been a central defender and a half for a very long time now, so I'm a little bit surprised to see him in there today. Maybe Manchester City fans are too. We'll find out how they're getting on a little bit later on with John Dunn and Mickey Gray, who are there, so stick with us on Game Day Live. Currently Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0. Brighton absolutely ripping it up down at the Amex Stadium. They lead by 2-0 against Aston Villa, and we have big transfer news regarding an England international very shortly. Stick with us.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus through our internet terms apply.
The Premier League is back, and to celebrate the brand new season, talkSPORT Bet have got a brand new offer for brand new customers. Just open a new account, opt in, deposit and bet between £10 and £30 on any football market and evens or higher within the league, and we'll match your stake in free bets to use on selected markets within 7 days. For this and other outstanding odds, visit talksportbet.com. talkSPORT Bet, Gladys back broadcaster, bring it on bookie. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Gambleware.org.
Have you seen the Johnston's Decorating Centre Bonanza sale?
No, what's the deal?
3 10-litre tubs of Johnston's Trade Cover Plus, just £34 each, with a free Pro Gold brush set. Or 3 10-litre tubs of Johnston's Trade Acrylic Durable Mat, just £50 each, with a free work platform.
Well, that's worth stocking up for.
The Johnston's Decorating Centre Bonanza sale is on now. Visit your local branch or shop at johnstonsdc.com. T's and C's apply. Prices exclude VAT at 20%. Selected products only. Free gifts available while stocks last.
Put a tenner on, and you'll get 50 back. Come on, I'll have some of that. My heart says a European place, but my head says mid-table just in case. Whatever you believe, back it. Let's have it. Get £50 in free bets when you bet £10 online. Want to bet? Bet bread. New online customers only. £30 in sports bets and £20 in bet builder bets. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Get updates on the teams and squads, plus all the latest betting odds. All it takes is just one tap. Kill boredom dead with the talkSPORT app. The talkSPORT app. Hear, watch and scroll unbeatable content from the world's biggest sports radio station. Whenever you want, wherever you want. Available from the App Store now. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to Game Day Live on talkSPORT with me, Sam Badenface, across the sporting world today. Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0 in the Premier League. Mark Gay starting the game in the centre of midfield for Manchester City. Brighton Hove Albion 2, Aston Villa 0. That's the latest scoreline from the Amex. Maxime de Clover had a hand in both goals. He made the first by intercepting a back pass from Pau Torres. Played it against the inside of the post. It hit Victor Lindelof and went in. And he scored the second after a good run in behind. Newcastle against Liverpool kicks off at 4:30. West Bromwich Albion 3, Burnley 1 was the four-time score from the Championship. The Dutch Grand Prix has had a bit of an issue. Max Verstappen out of the race and Lando Norris leads. We'll get back to Tom very shortly for more details on that. In Rugby League Super League, Warrington take on Huddersfield later on. That's live on talkSPORT 2. And York Knights against Leeds Rhinos is at the same time. That's 3 o'clock today. Let's get some breaking transfer news. Here's talkSPORT's Alex Crook.
And it involves Ollie Watkins, left out of the Aston Villa squad today. Interestingly, when Unai Emery was asked about that by the TV company before kick-off, he said silence. That was his reply.
He actually said the word silence.
He did.
You remember that interview at the beginning of last season when they asked him about Emi Martinez and he said Marco Bizot 7 times?
It was very similar. So that tells you he's a little bit flustered by this situation involving Ollie Watkins, but talkSPORT understands the deal between Al Hilal over in Saudi Arabia and Villa is close now. The fee expected to be in the region of 55 to 60 million euros, as we already mentioned. Ollie Watkins wants to make this move to Saudi Arabia.
I'm going to come back to you on this because there's a few questions I want to ask, but there's a few questions being asked at the Etihad. John Dunn.
Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1, 25 gone, and Marcus Tavernier has given Bournemouth the lead, and it's all City's own doing. They get possession away, midway inside their own half. Ryan pounced down the right, a cross that was teed up for Tavernier, entered the 6-yard area, couldn't miss, and Bournemouth lead.
It's too easy. They're all over the place defensively, Man City, and I think Enzo Maresco is trying too many things at once. They just split them open, and it's Ryan. They just played a beautiful ball, and it's a great finish.
Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1.
Wide open at the back, Manchester City. What's happening down at the Amex? Another goal for Toby Gillis.
Brighton 3, Aston Villa 0. This is extraordinary. Ball from the right-hand side by Vuskovic was sensational out to De Kuyper on the left. His deep cross was headed back down by Gomez to Jack Hinchelwood, who headed in at the far post. They're destroying Aston Villa. It's Brighton 3, Aston Villa 0.
Wow, I mean, we've talked about the fact that their defence was brilliant and their attack was struggling. It's not struggling today, Brighton, is it? But let's talk about Manchester City. Talk about haphazard at the back. I haven't got a clue what DS and Kuvzov were getting up to. They got in each other's way, Perry Groves, and free at the far post in an acre of space, waiting to tap home after a really good cross from the right, was Marcus Tavernier.
You know what, Sam? There's no communication, there's no leadership with Kushinov and Diaz there as the ball bounces down. It's good play from Bournemouth. They make sure they get to the knockdowns, and it goes out to Rian on that right-hand side, and it's a brilliant cross. He just whips it across the 6-yard box. Tavernier is at the far post, simple tapping, completely unmarked. And we did say, Sam, about Man City being too open and too easy to play against. That's the exact example of why teams fancy playing against Man City now.
Stop it, there's another goal for Toby Gillis.
Half an hour gone, Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0. It is Jack Hinchelwood again, ball falling to him inside the area. Simple finish, top pass Marco Bizzo. Unai Emery cannot understand what he is watching. Villa just continually playing it to Brighton's players. It was a tackle on the edge of the box. Hinchelwood finishes from 12 yards out. Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0.
Wow, what on earth is going on down there? Perry Groves, I mean, they're having a meltdown, aren't they, Aston Villa?
Well, Joe Gomez just getting caught in the D on the edge of his own penalty box. Really good play from Brighton, really good closing down. They push up as a team, then they just get a little nick into it, and then Jack Hinchelwood just puts it into an empty net. That's his brace. Scored 2 in 2 minutes playing in that 10 position. We said that he can play anywhere and everywhere. I said I thought the game could be 4-4. No, Sam, this could be 6 or 7 because Aston Villa have no shot. And I said about Aston Villa as a team, their lineup looked like it was a team that were going to play in the Europa League on a Thursday or the Conference League. This team at the moment wouldn't be any good playing on a Thursday night. Brighton have totally swarmed all over them.
What, was there not a foul on the edge of the area by Ayari, who won the ball back for Hinchelwood to score?
No, I think that Ayari just got his little toe into the ball first, and João Gomez has no awareness of what's going on around him. So, and you know full well if they're going to keep playing, and Brighton just get that feeling that they could go and close him down. Exactly what Ayari did, and then he just toe pokes it off of João Gomez. Jack Hinchelwood, who's obviously up with Ayari with the closing down, just has a simple task of tapping into an empty net. And who would have thought, like Brighton fans going there today, that their team would be 4-0 up within half an hour and the game would be done and dusted? I said that Unai Emery before the game, Sam, was all positive, he has to be upbeat. This is a massive, massive realisation that this Aston Villa side are nowhere near the side that they were last season, because you can't keep selling all of your best players. You've got no chance.
They haven't scored 4 or more goals in the Premier League since they put 5 past Sheffield United on February the 18th, 2024. Alex, we were talking about Ollie Watkins and the reaction from Unai Emery to the questions that he was asked about it. The fact that he said silence, silence, and then wouldn't expand on his answer suggests he's not happy about the sales.
No, they wanted Ollie Watkins to sign a new contract. He's been offered a new deal, but I think maybe surprisingly, Watkins sees this as his last big payday, sees the opportunity to go and obviously make a fortune playing in Saudi Arabia. I think the top target to replace him is going to be Nicholas Jackson, but it's interesting, that situation, because under UEFA rules, if you sell a player to a club, as Aston Villa obviously did with Morgan Rogers to Chelsea, and then you inside a 45-day period that's seen by UEFA as a swap deal. So when it comes to squad cost ratio, that would obviously affect the finances of both football clubs. So it'll be interesting to see when Morgan Rogers was registered as a Chelsea player. It was announced as a signing at Chelsea on the 21st of July, but presumably the paperwork was done before then.
Well, that'd be interesting, won't it? Because obviously, I mean, there's still a few days left of the window, but Nicholas Jackson firmly in Unai Emery's sides. I mean, I'm watching him on the touchline here. He's absolutely furious. He's in the ear of the fourth official. He's having a go at him, actually, because he believes that that there was a foul by Ayari in the build-up to it. But I think his complaints need to get sort of more focused on his team, who are absolutely all over the place. Brighton's high press has been absolutely terrific, by the way, and that's where a couple of the goals have come from.
Yeah, and it just shows you, because I wasn't overly impressed with Brighton in Europe in midweek. I was actually a bit fearful about where the goals would come from. They've scored 4 before half-time. But when it comes to Villa, and obviously Gabby got his calculator out, and he had about 8 sheets of paper, Gabby, upon the hall, and we were on air with him at 10 o'clock on Friday morning. This is no longer a PSR issue with Villa, surely. They've made enough money this summer not to worry about getting on the wrong side of the financial line. This is about players, in most cases, leaving Aston Villa and making a step up to a bigger club. That's not going to be the case with Ollie Watkins.
It is a PSR issue. It is a PSR issue because those players don't feel as if they can compete for further top honours at a club which is forced to sell over the course of every summer. So, yes, this is not a necessary signing to fulfil a PSR requirement, but it is a knock-on effect from the PSR rules which stop clubs from being able to build into elite.
But as I was saying to Gabby on Friday, and he got a little bit rattled by it, Ezri Konsa is always going to leave Aston Villa to join the Champions.
Yeah, but Ollie Watkins is always going to leave Aston Villa to go out allowed.
You believe that's because he doesn't feel like he can win trophies at Villa Park? Behave yourself. He's going for one massive payday, isn't he?
It is.
No, he's not.
If he thought he was going to win the Champions League at Aston Villa, did he go to Al Hilal?
I don't think it's about sporting success.
Well,
for you, Perry?
But you know what? I think if he felt that Aston Villa were always going to be playing in the Champions League, like for the next 2 or 3 seasons, I think he would stay. But as I said before, it's very easy for us to sit here when you have that generational money that you're going to get, you know, when you go to Al Hilal, Saudi Arabia. We all know they haven't got to pay tax. He'll probably go on to what, £350,000 a week maybe, and he's got to stay there for 2 years and he gets it sort of tax-free. But the only thing I said before is, as a player, you guys know, Ollie Watkins has still got another, season, maybe 2 seasons easy in the Premier League, so I just think he's probably gone a couple of years too early. But I agree with Sam, if you think you're going to be challenging for major honours and your team is going to make steps forward, then you would probably stay. And he's probably thought, no, this is my time, this is time to go, because, as I said before, Aston Villa, because of the squad ratio rules, because of the PSR or FFP, whatever you want to call it, they have no chance of consistently being in the top 4, and we've seen exactly the same with Newcastle.
Yeah, well, looking at that Aston Villa team today, I must be honest, both Crook and I looked at each other and thought, Brighton are going to win today. Absolutely no doubt. And indeed, it looks like that's going to be the case, because after 37 minutes, it's Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0. Let's get the latest odds from Paddy Power.
Game day odds update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18+ gambleware.org.
Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1, City 23-20 to come back and win the game. The draw is 12-5. Bournemouth to go on and complete the victory. It's 21-20. Brighton 4-0 up against Aston Villa. I mean, they're 300-1 on to win the game, Brighton. The draw is 22, 225-1. Villa's come back and win. Well, maybe, I mean, you can't do it because you're not allowed to bet on football if you're in football. But maybe Aston Villa should bet on themselves to come back and win, because it might solve their PSR problems, because the odds are 450-1. That's all thanks to Paddy Power. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Game day odds update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18+ gambleware.org.
This is Game Day live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with now you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly in minutes, like Newcastle against Liverpool. Live today, streamed via the internet, terms apply. Next we'll be going back around the grounds. It's currently Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1, and Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0.
Sunday Game Day live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Put a tenner on and you'll get 50 back. Come on, I'll have some of that. My heart says a European place, but my head says mid-table just in case. Whatever you believe, back it. Let's have it. Get £50 in free bets when you bet £10 online. Want to bet? Bet Bread. New online customers only. £30 in sports bets and £20 in bet over bets. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
With the Sun odds from £9.50, it's your last chance this year to get...
Who idea? So we'll play.
And that's Carol, please, mate. And... Choose from over 200 parks across the UK and Europe. Start collecting your codes today in the Sun or join Sun Club to book. Price based on a minimum of 4 people sharing. T's and C's apply.
I'm Sean Dyche. I've teamed up with Aqua to share a credit building game plan. 1. Avoid giving away a penalty. Missing a payment can cost you, so stay on the board, pay on time, and keep your finances in play. 2. Find a coach. When building credit, you're not playing alone. With Aqua, you can get the support you need to reach your goals. Search AquaCard and get that better credit feeling.
Representative 39.9% APR variable credit issued by New Day Limited, 18 over UK only, subject to status terms apply.
Get more bang for your bet ahead of the new football season with Quick. Right now at Quick, join and bet £10 and you'll get £40 in free bets. Plus, your bet could be instantly boosted to bigger odds. We call it a supercharged bet. Get more bang for your bet. Download the app or visit quick.com. 18 plus, new customers only. £10 bet at minimum 2.0 odds within 5 days to get 4 £10 free bets with 7-day expiry. T&Cs apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus, stream our internet, terms apply.
Essential goals from every game that matters.
Game Day Live on talkSPORT.
Bournemouth 1-0 up against Manchester City. Brighton 4-0 up against Aston Villa. And just when you think it can't get any worse, Toby Gillies.
João Gomez has been sent off for Aston Villa. He was running, backpedaling with the ball. Tackle came in. Fair challenge. But as he went down, he's kicked up and out into the face. The referee came over to the near touchline to have a look at the screen and decided that is violent conduct. João Gomez's debut is over early. He's been sent off, and it's Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0.
Peter Banks called over to the monitor. He was very quickly over there. His VAR, Matt Donoghue, saw the kick out, decided that was violent conduct. Perry, his debut has ended with a red card. Should it have done?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got caught on the ball. I think his debut probably goes up there with Jonathan Woodgate, isn't it, for Real Madrid. He got caught on the ball, didn't he, for Inter's second goal by Ayari. Then he's just got caught on the ball again, just dithering on it, just lose it completely. And then as he just sort of overreacts and his right foot goes up right into the midriff, and then quite rightly Peter Banks is called over by Matt Donoghue to have a look at me. I said there, didn't even hesitate, off you go, because you cannot show your 6 studs and boot your opponent in the stomach. So it was bad enough Aston Villa being 4-0 after half hour without someone who's making their debut giving the ball away and then getting himself sent off.
Yeah, Aston Villa very much in the muck, the weeds and the nettles, but everything so far all very rosa in the Cherries Garden. John Dunn.
We've got 6 minutes of normal time in the first half remaining. Manchester City 0, Bournemouth at 1. Marcus Tavernier after 25 minutes. Oh, and he's just took strike from the edge of the area, left-footed, right of the D, and that was inches wide of him getting a second. The goal came about after a mix-up between Kusanov and Diaz, and after Ryan and Evan Nilsson linked up, it was a tap-in for Tavernier. Since then, City have piled on the pressure, lots of bodies around the box, but certainly not at the fluid best that they would expect. A moment ago, Diaz with a cross from a deep area, Haaland on the stretch, did get a header just on target, but Petrovic touching that one around the post. I'm going to go back to the words you used earlier, Mickey. It's just messy from City.
Yeah, I've never seen them so disjointed. I think that's probably the best way I can explain it. Where Phil Foden's playing on the right-hand side, he cannot get past Truefair in 1v1. He looks a little bit lethargic. They said he looked sharp in pre-season, but I'm not seeing it right now. In midfield, they look all over the place, as if they don't really know what they're doing. Elliot Anderson is dropping into the back line, trying to play as a quarterback. It's not working for him. He keeps giving the ball away. And here we go again.
Clive with a shot that Donnarumma has tipped away into safety. And Gay is there to clear left of the area. Clive on target. Donnarumma using all of his big Italian frame to get a hand to it. And this is it. City giving possession away in dangerous areas, and it feels like Bournemouth will capitalise again.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an 11 that's just being put together, and we know that that's not the case. There's a lot of those players out there who are playing in the starting 11 for Man City who've been here for quite a while, but there's no understanding with each other. The full-backs are not overlapping the wide players at all. They're staying as a flat back forward. Rico Lewis is trying to go into midfield to help out at times. But when they give the ball away, it's 2v2, it's a 3v3. And as we've just been speaking there, John, I mean, Bournemouth should have scored again. Clive should have popped that ball in the back of the net. It's so easy for them to open Man City up. In those forward areas, City look a little bit disjointed also.
Bournemouth very jointed, looking very organised. And they lead as we head to half-time. Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1.
John was bemoaning the oversized suit that Enzo Maresca was wearing earlier. It doesn't quite look like Manchester City's players fit right now for the formation that he is playing. Let's get to the Dutch Grand Prix. They've restarted once again. We have a new leader after Max Verstappen crashed earlier on today, but he's safe, and that's the main thing, Tom Clayton.
We do, and on lap number 8, it's Kimi Antonelli who leads after that 30-minute delay following that lap 1 crash involving Max Verstappen. As you say, he is out the car, he's safe, he's being checked over by the medical staff at the circuit. But off a standing start after that red flag, Lando Norris was caught out. He didn't have a great start. Kimi Antonelli went down the inside of the first corner, got himself into the lead, and this is the kind of position where he's been very strong from so far this season. Antonelli and Norris have absolutely cleared off down the road. They've already got a 4-second gap to Oscar Piastri, who's in 3rd place, and there's a bit of a train forming behind him in Russell, Leclerc and Hamilton. They're currently fighting out for that final position on the podium. But after a delay here, we're on to lap number 9 of the Dutch Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli leads from Lando Norris.
Yeah, Antonelli very much top of the title picture right now, and he's in front in the Dutch Grand Prix, the last Dutch Grand Prix for a while. Over on talkSPORT 2 at 3 o'clock this afternoon, there's live Super League action between Warrington Wolves and Huddersfield Giants. Paul Cook and Craig Murdoch are on commentary duty.
It's round 24 of the Betfred Super League live on talkSPORT 2 this afternoon, and we bring you Warrington Wolves versus Huddersfield Giants. Cookie, where's this one going to be won this afternoon?
Yeah, well, a lovely day over here over the Pennines. Yeah, this should be a really interesting one for Warrington. This will be the 3rd game in 10 days. I mean, played Hull KR midweek. We saw Hull KR yesterday. We're really fatigued by that. Huddersfield have won 4 straight, going for 5 straight here today. I think a home win, but I guess you never know.
We know that knock on Tuesday night. How big a blow is that for the Wire?
Yeah, it's big because he's a great player and he's been played really well. But in Leon Hayes, who was left out for George Williams, the England captain, coming back in. We've got an able deputy there, so yeah, I don't see it being too much of an issue.
And then we look down Huddersfield line. George Flanagan, he seems to be the one that fires Huddersfield, who's been in fine form of late.
Yeah, if he concentrates on his football instead of winding other people up, then he can be as good as he wants to be. I think what's been really impressive about them is the way they've gone about the business over 6 weeks of losing, and I spoke with Ralph Rimmer a couple of weeks ago, the CEO of the club, about they needed to get some intensity into training, and it probably went a little bit before it's got better for them. I've been really impressed with how patient that they've been, and now 4 straight wins going for 5 here.
Yeah, they certainly are. So it's Warrington Wolves versus Huddersfield Giants live on talkSPORT 2. Kick-off is 3 o'clock.
Yeah, they won at Hull KR on Tuesday, Warrington. They can book a playoff place today with a victory over the Huddersfield Giants. York Knights versus the Leeds Rhinos off at the same time. We'll keep you updated from both matches here on talkSPORT as we go round the grounds on a Sunday afternoon. Half-time from Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1 coming up. And it would be interesting to see what the reaction is from the Aston Villa supporters down at the Amex. Brighton leading by 4 goals to 0, and the half-time whistles are coming next.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus stream our internet, terms apply.
I see England's greatest sporting battles. The Premier League's back. With Bet St George, you can bet on the first goal scorer in any Premier League match. If they score first and again, they'll double your winnings up to £250. Bet St George is built for fans of English sports, sire. There's cricket, rugby, horse racing, good heavens, and injustice. 18 plus, full terms at betstgeorge.com. BetStGeorge.com. Play responsibly. Gamcare.org.uk.
I'm Sean Dyche. I've teamed up with Aqua to share a credit-building game plan. 1. Avoid
giving away a penalty. Missing a payment can cost you, so stay on the ball, pay on time, and keep your finances in play. 2. Find a coach. When building credit, you're not playing alone. With Aqua, you can get the support you need to reach your goals. Search Aquacard and get that better credit feeling.
Representative 39.9% APR variable credit issued by New Day Limited, 18 over UK only, subject to status, terms apply.
On August 29th, witness history on the zone. There are legends that came before him: Fury, AJ, Lennox, and Iron Mike. But now the future of boxing is here. Moses Itawa, set to become Britain's youngest heavyweight world champion ever. Standing in his way, his toughest test yet, Philip Hergovich, looking to create history of his own. Don't miss Moses versus Hergovich for the heavyweight world title, live exclusively on the Zone Saturday Fight Night.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. The talkSPORT Sports Bar.
A move or a fee has been agreed for him to go to Al Hilal. That's imminent now. Newcastle United against Liverpool kicks off at 4:30 this afternoon. We'll have all the tributes to Kevin Keegan between now and then, as well as they plan a day of memorial here at St James's Park in the Championship. Victory for West Bromwich Albion by 3-1 over Burnley, their second successive victory. Burnley still without a win in the Championship. Kimi Antonelli leads the Dutch Grand Prix. The race has resumed after Max Verstappen crashed in the first lap. That kicked off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So let's get to our half-time. It is half-time at Brighton against Aston Villa, and it's half-time at the Etihad Stadium, where there were 1 or 2 boos as the half-time whistle went John Dunn.
There was Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1. A City fan has just walked past me and said we'll be in the Championship next season. Trust me, it's not that bad. But they did trail at the break. Enzo Maresca in charge of City for the first time. Likewise, Marco Rose for Bournemouth. Maresca sprung a surprise, but Mark Gay in midfield. City started brightly. Haaland with a storming run from his own half inside 3 minutes. To the right of the box is Foden. His flick to Rico Lewis, first time effort, saved by Petrovic. Haaland really should have scored shortly after, ball in from the left from O'Reilly. Haaland just needed to head it in, lost his bearings, came off his thigh, cleared off the line by James Hill. Defensively is the concern for City. Vardiel and Diaz got in a mix-up that allowed Rayan to get a shot from the right that was saved at the near post by Donnarumma. 25 minutes in, Bournemouth took the lead. This time it was a mix-up by Diaz and Kusanov. That allowed Ryan to get possession, move to the right to Evan Nielsen across the 6-yard area, a tapping for Marcus Tavernier. Haaland has had another header, that was saved by Petrovic, but City have been messy, I think is the word that we'll use. Bournemouth, though, Mickey, have been anything but. They've continued that momentum from last season.
Excellent. Marco Rose will be very happy going down the tunnel at half-time. Be really pleased with his players, the way they've approached the game. Yes, they looked a little bit shaky in the first 10 or 15 minutes, and Man City had chances and probably should have scored. But I think from that moment, the biggest threat has come from Bournemouth. There's no question. When they get into the final third, they look as if they can get behind this back line. Man City, as we mentioned there before, they look as if they're all over the place. There's no fluidity from back to midfield to those forward areas. And I think it's something that Enzo Maresca's certainly got to sort out at half-time and moving forward for Manchester City. Look, they'll create chances in the second half. We know they've got the quality to do that. but it feels like it's an uphill challenge right now.
What I didn't see from Enzo Maresca was much change during the game. Very animated, but I didn't see much changing in terms of personnel positions.
Yeah, but going back to the beginning, I think he's made too many changes in the sense of the game starting. You know, Mark Gay, real surprise, starting in that midfield area. Elliot Anderson dropping into the back line to play as a quarterback. It's not really working for him. The two full-backs for me have got to start overlapping the two wide players, even if they don't get the ball. It just creates an overload. It gives Erling Haaland better opportunities. But it just looks as if it's all over the place, and I think there's work to be done.
Half-time at the Etihad. Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1.
Bournemouth haven't lost since January the 3rd in the Premier League when they were beaten by Arsenal. They're unbeaten in the last 10 away games as well, which I think is significant. And bearing in mind that Enzo Maresca knew he was getting that job from a long way out, why does he not seem to know who he wants where? Very strange. Let's go to half-time at the Amex Stadium. Here's Toby Gillies.
Brilliant. Brighton 4, Aston Villa down to 10 men 0. After a start when Emi Buendia had 3 chances in the first 6 minutes, one clear cut as well that he rolled wide. This might have become, I reckon, the worst ever Premier League half by any club from Villa. Maxim de Kuyper took advantage of a poor Torres back pass to shoot onto the post, but it ricocheted back off of Lindelof and in, and then de Kuyper did get his goal for 2-0. Then 2 Jack Hinshelwood goals in a minute. The first on half an hour, an outstanding team move ending with a de Kuyper cross, headed across by Gomez to Hinshelwood to head home. The latter, a good press on Joao Gomez, edge of the box, felt to Hinshelwood, no pressure, 4-0. Gomez's afternoon then went from bad to worse when he was sent off after the VAR spotted he kicked out after being tackled in midfield. A quick check of the monitor, violent conduct, no doubt, red card. Villa's heaviest ever Premier League defeat is 8-0. If Brighton, who have never scored more than 6 in the league, fancy it, then those records might be under threat here. It really is that bad for Aston Villa. Unai Emery trudged off just as the half-time whistle went, looking furious. The players following on behind. Goodness only knows what sort of rocket he's delivering now. Brighton in cruise control. Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0.
Aston Villa should have expected the fast start from Brighton. They scored 9 goals inside the first 15 minutes last season. The joint most with Manchester City and West Ham United. Let's get the latest odds from Paddy Power.
Game day odds update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18 plus gamble.org.
Okay, Kevin Palmer is back on the show. Kevin, very good afternoon to you. What odds would you have given me on Brighton to be 4-0 up at half-time?
Sam, unbelievable. Whatever odds we said about Brighton at the start of the match, Brighton Aston Villa, let's rip them up and start again. Just mention there, 8-0 was their worst to beat. It's only 25-1 for it to be 8-0 at the end of this game now. You can see it happen for Villa down to 10 men. Often in the second half, teams do take their foot off the gas, but Villa are just committing suicide at the back time and again, and you just fear for them in the second half. Brighton to win 6 or 7-0 is 3-1. Brighton to have 4 more shots from outside of the box. They've only had 1 so far. That's a big offer of 4-1, and there's lots of other odds on there for Villa to get absolutely hammered in the second half. You have to fear that Unai Emery is going to have a pretty horrible half-time chat. Just looking at the Etihad, the boos ringing around the stadium. Man City now 8-5 to win. Bournemouth into 7-4. And no one would have predicted Bournemouth going up there getting a result today. But Erling Haaland still 10-11 to score at any time. Antoine Semenyo 2-1 to score any time. You would think Man City will come back in the second half, but we just don't know after that first half. First weekend of the season, Sam, is always unpredictable. Lots of unexpected results, but that result of Brighton, my goodness, Unai Emery must be having a nightmare already, and looking at his defence, he's got a lot of work to do this season.
Yeah, well, he certainly looks as if he was having a nightmare, that is for sure. Thank you very much, Kevin, appreciate that. That's all thanks to Paddy Power, 18 plus, BigGambleAware.org.
Game day odds update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18 plus gamble.org.
And we're joined at St James's Park by the talkSPORT legend, Newcastle legend, Liverpool massive fan, Mickey Gwynn is here. Hello.
Hi, Sam.
You all right?
Yeah, great. Well, look at the pitch. We're just pitch side. We're absolutely like the bowling green. I was here first game last season, but it's a bit special today, Sam, with obviously Kevin, Keegan, Liverpool, Newcastle. The footballing god certainly put this one together, didn't he?
Absolutely. You're usually obviously an optimistic guy, but this season
looks a little bit different, doesn't it, than Newcastle United? How have you reacted to what happened in the summer?
Well, first of all, got to know Eddie well. I was gutted that he left. Then top players have left. Gordon, Tonali. Although looking at Spurs yesterday, couldn't call Tonali top player.
Ouch. Ouch. And maybe Jason Cundy.
Gamarish. But yeah, so look, if you don't want to play for the club, I'd say anywhere, then you move them on. The way Newcastle have gone about it, they want younger players, younger manager. They want players who they can develop, who want to play here. Because look, you go for big time players, and when I go to London, they start whinging. You don't want to go to Newcastle. And as you rightly said, that last night you had a great night out. I don't know why you shouldn't come to Newcastle.
Well, that's another story. We should skate over that.
I'll go back to today. Yeah, look, it's a new era, new players, new manager. Fans going to get right behind them. It's going to be electric and emotional with the Kevin tributes and that. So it's going to be one hell of a spectacle today. Absolutely.
There's been a summer change at Liverpool as well. New manager coming in there. Obviously, Mo Salah departing the club. Andy Robertson leaving the club. How optimistic are you from a Red perspective?
God, but you know what? You know me, son. I've never ever sat on the fence in my life making a decision or a call because I usually break. And so, for today's game, I've watched Liverpool pre-season, I've watched Newcastle pre-season. I just don't know what to expect from either team. The one thing with Yola is that they look better going on the front foot, but they look just as bad as last season defending. In the pre-season, I'm only going on pre-season, Newcastle played well in little spurts, 15 minutes, 20 minutes against Everton, and then for the rest of that game, desperate. I was looking for energy, I was looking for closing down on the front foot, old, like, Jurgen Klopp teams, but this, but I've never seen it. So, I don't know, I really don't know what to expect from either team. Both teams in transition, both have new coaches, and it's a new season, so it's, I don't know which way it's going to go.
Well, listen, thank you.
That's going to draw. Where's that fence?
Yes, they certainly broken. Newcastle would certainly not sit. Newcastle fans wouldn't sit on the fence. They'd be saying, if we could, we'll have a striker like Mickey Quinn, please. That would be lovely. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Sam.
He's a massive hero at St James's Park, as you can imagine. Is our Mickey Quinn. Let's go up to the Dutch Grand Prix. Tom Clayton.
Lap number 21, led by Kimi Antonelli, and he has played it off into the distance himself. Lando Norris 2.5 seconds behind. There's been a bit of a pit stop battle between Russell and Piastri. Piastri went in first and had a slow stop. Then Russell went in, he got caught behind traffic, so they've come out pretty much on top of each other on the track. They're down in 6th and 7th at the moment. The Ferrari's going for an alternate strategy in 3rd and 4th. Still no pit stops for the leaders though. Antonelli leads from Norris on lap number 21.
Cheers, Tom. Thank you very much. Check out the latest talkSPORT Daily episode where Angelina Kelly and talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook examine the Premier League's new laws, which are designed to tackle time wasting, VAR controversy, and player behaviour. With insight from refereeing chief Howard Webb, they asked, will the changes improve the game, and what other laws should be introduced?
Now, another rule is VAR review for second yellow card. So VAR is now permitted to review second yellow card decisions that result in a red card, specifically to correct clearly wrong second cautions. Now, look, the main criticism of VAR looking at the second yellows is the inconsistency of it, because they don't review the first yellow. So where do you sit on this rule in general?
Again, I'm a fan. You know, I've always felt like if you have the technology and a player picks up an unfair second yellow card, it felt wrong to me that second yellow could not be reviewed. Yeah, Howard obviously explained it very well there and explained that there's still going to be a bit of a grey area and we'll look at every second yellow card, but certainly like the ones where there are a clear and obvious error. And remember when the technology was brought in, that was the key phrase, isn't it? Clear and obvious. Yeah, I think it's a good intervention. You don't want people getting sent off and suspended and missing big games unfairly.
That's the talkSPORT Daily Podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms. I say problems for only one reason, is that Alex Crook seems to be advocating for more use of VAR.
Yeah,
should we just review everything?
I've always thought the second yellow football, not using the technology. If there's a clear mistake and someone ends up getting sent off, then I think that's just common sense. I've got to say, whenever you sit down in front of Howard, when obviously you're more into the rules and regulations than I am.
You're more into them. I just make sure I know what they are.
Well, you're the one who takes the rule book to bed, but he's always very transparent, very open, and it's a big season, isn't it, for Howard and his team? Because last year there were quite a few controversial decisions, and we're having to cut those down.
At least I go to bed. This is Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Next we'll be keeping you updated with the second half of Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1. And Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0. We'll also hear from former Newcastle and England defender Warren Barton ahead of Newcastle and Liverpool at 4:30 this afternoon.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
You do the business, Nissan do the vans. Search Nissan vans to discover the range all with 5-year warranty. £1 to 5 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. Visit Nissan.co.uk. What makes Maxi? You know how these captains look back.
Mate, hiking all day, every day.
The cabbie, bigger fan than we are.
Banging out some of the top 20 on the way to the game.
It's a great podcast. All the expert pundits down the dog and duck.
Oh, King Up Palace. He gets the chili garlic ratio spot on.
Match day is about more than just a game. It's an experience shared with local businesses at the heart of every EFL club and community. That's why we're proud to support the businesses behind the badge. Sage, official accounting software partner of the EFL.
Train toilet door. Didn't work. Lock. Didn't work. Everyone's seen me on the ball. Didn't work. Train toilet door. Didn't work.
Bet £10. Get £30 in free bets with Midnight. Search Midnight Sports or download the Midnight app today. New customers only. Restrictions and T&Cs apply. 18 plus. Never responsible. Gamble aware.
Crocs Clips just dropped in Happy Meal. Express yourself however you feel. Sports mode, stylish, or superstar too. Wherever you vibe, we've got them all for you. Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal.
Until the 25th of September from 11 a.m. Includes one piece of selected ball from Crocs range comprised of toys only while stocks last. Fair ordering, we'll see you back.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus stream via internet, terms apply.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave. Online, on your mobile, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT Sunday. Game Day Live on DAB. Online, on your mobile. Every goal, every game that matters.
Scores by satellite.
Instant goals from a hyper-threaded, super-connected football journalism jigsaw. The throbbing heart of the football machine. If it goes in, it's going off Sunday. Game Day live on talkSPORT.
You're listening to Game Day Live. It's me, Sam Manderface, at St James's Park ahead of Newcastle United against Liverpool. That starts at 4:30 this afternoon. What a day we've already had in the Premier League and beyond. Manchester City 1-0 down at home to Bournemouth. Enzo Maresca decided that Mark Gay should play in midfield today. Back with John Dunn and Mickey Gray very shortly. Brighton and Hove Albion 4-0 up against Aston Villa. West Bromwich Albion the Championship on a successive game. They beat Burnley by 3-1. And Kimi Antonelli leads the Dutch Grand Prix. Rugby League Super League is underway over on talkSPORT 2 right now. Warrington Wolves against Huddersfield Giants. Warrington looking to secure a playoff place. York against Leeds Rhinos has just started as well. There's both scoreless at the moment. In the US PGA Tour, the BMW Championship, Wyndham Clark leads by 5 shots. He tees off at 650. The Nexo Championship on the DP World Tour, Scott Jameson leading by 10 under through 13. And in Live Golf's Indianapolis individual, Michael Lasasso leads on 13 under par, 1 shot ahead of Cameron Smith. It's talkSPORT, and we're taking you around the grounds on this Sunday afternoon. Right, let's head to the Etihad Stadium. Any significant changes, Mickey Gray and John Dunn?
2.5 minutes gone in the second half. Still Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1. Marcus Tavernier with that first half goal. But as we scan around, Mickey, I don't think Enzo Maresca has changed much, if anything, certainly in terms of where the personnel are situated. Means Mark Gay still in midfield.
Hasn't changed anything. I think one thing that has changed, whether it's the first 2-3 minutes of the second half, is the tempo slowed down. Where I thought it would have been the opposite. I thought Man City needed to start taking the game to Bournemouth, but it's a slow build-up, nothing coming at the end of it. So I don't know what he said at half-time, but I'm still waiting to see what's happening.
Man City only won 2 of their opening 5 games in the Premier League last season. Bournemouth only won 2 of their opening 9 as well. City, though, great record on the opening day of the season. Won 14 of the last 15 opening games in a Premier League season. But trailing so far, Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1.
Perry Groves, were you expecting Enzo Maresca to tinker a little bit at the break?
He's not doing his job, Sam. The manager's not doing his job because he's not worked in the first half. You mentioned about Mark Gahey playing in midfield. He'll just be steady. He's not going to give you any sort of creativity, is he, or any little sort of invention in there. So if you've got Kovacic, Gonzalez and Nunes on the bench, worst ways out, one of those should be coming in to that midfield area. And also, going forward, they need, and the boys at the Etihad are saying, there's no spark. It's all sort of very laboured, there's no dynamism there. So you've got Ryan Cherky come on, you've got Jack Grealish there. So I always said, Sam, if your team's not playing to the standards they should be, and Man City aren't, then the manager has to do his job at half-time. If it's 1-1, you put fresh legs on, fresh ideas, and it gives everybody a lift. And he hasn't done anything, so he's not doing his job.
It's not just this decision, though, to put Mark Gahey in the middle of the park, which is upsetting the apple cart here. I think he can play both sides, Antoine Semenyo, but really he's a right winger. That's his best position. That's where he plays his best football. That's where he plays most of his football, doesn't he? He's playing on the left-hand side. Foden's playing off the right, so they don't really have some natural width off that right-hand side. It just doesn't look like they're set, does it? It looks like there's square pegs in round holes to me.
Yeah, the thing is, you said there, some of these modern-day managers overthink stuff, and Phil Foden's been playing in the 10 all pre-season, and he wants to play in 10. So all of a sudden he said he goes out to the right-hand side, Nick O'Reilly goes into the 10 position, but even then, if it isn't working, why not just swap Semenyo and Lewis over? Just go for 10-15 minutes, have a go against the different fullbacks and see how we go. And it's saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I'm just looking at the game. Bournemouth at the moment look very comfortable. Elliot Anderson drop a little bit deeper, get himself on the ball. But if you're Bournemouth and he's getting the ball in his own half, you can have as much as like them, mate. You're not creating anything and you're causing any problems.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the second 45. I mean, Antoine Semenyo's had pretty much limited impact on the game, playing off the left. Foden's had limited impact playing off the right. They don't look set to play. Nico O'Reilly's playing in the 10 position today. Bearing in mind he spent most of last season playing at left back or central midfield. It seems a bit of an odd thing to do when they need someone to plug that gap in midfield to put Mark Gahey in there. Maybe it's just me. If you want to get in touch, you can WhatsApp us. It's 037172233. 44. Any changes of significant value down at the Amex? Toby Gillies.
No, Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0. Brighton, though, have just squandered another opportunity. Corner coming in from the right-hand side from De Kuyper. Oh, Aston Villa going close there with a shot from Ian Markson that's just gone into the side netting. But as I was just saying, Brighton with the corner from De Kuyper. It found Ayari running onto it. Lovely move, but he's put it wide with his right boot. Brighton just popping it around, but there's just a little sign there from Aston Villa that they've not totally given up with that Markson effort. Keeper, though, still untroubled, and it remains Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0.
Well, ahead of Newcastle against Liverpool, which is 4:30 this afternoon, we sent our chief football correspondent Alex Crook out and about at St James's Park. He's doing the rounds today. Who have you got for us, Crookie?
Yes, Sam, on pitchside here at St James's Park with one of those entertainers from the Kevin Keegan era, Warren Barton. Warren, you've flown in all the way from America. Why does it mean so much for you to be here today to pay tribute to King Kev?
I think it means everything. He gave me the opportunity. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had the chance to play for a big club like Newcastle. And that's what he said when he came sign me. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, come and join a big club. It was a privilege to play for this football club, and it was a privilege to play for him. Such a passionate, enthusiastic, lovely man. What he did for the city, not just the football club, with Sir John Hall in the early 90s to build up hope, expectations, fun. He wanted you to have fun, and just a great person. So when I got the call from the club to come over, myself, Shaki Hislop, who live in the States, we had no problems coming over to be here. We want to be part of it. It's probably what the club need at the moment as well, because of what they've gone through in the summer. Hopefully the new manager, who I like. But for Kevin Keegan, it's And it's funny how football gods are. You play Liverpool, where obviously he was such an iconic player for them, and but they love him up here. He loves them, and I think we'll see a lot of emotion today as well.
Football can be obviously a very tribal sport, but I'm looking there behind me, the Keegan name spelled out in red and white, the area of the ground where the Liverpool fans are going to be situated. This is going to be one of those rare occasions where both sets of supporters unite and pay tribute.
And I think that's credit to Liverpool, because I think they are that type of football club that show a lot of class, a lot of dignity. They've had their problems in the past, and people have stuck by them, but for them to be there, the fans, and speaking to people in the club, their fans wanting to be part of it, it'd be a very, very emotional kick-off. The families here as well from Kevin, and it's just a shame as a group of players, Tino's here, Les is here, just didn't get a chance to say goodbye, because we owe him everything, because without him we would never had a life. It was the best time of my life, mid-20s, playing for Newcastle, challenging for the title. Newcastle was vibrant and busy as a city, everybody wanted to come up here and have fun, and we had a great time, but unfortunately we failed and come up short, and that's one thing that we're going to regret for the rest of our life. But for him, it's about him, it's about what he deserves, because it just shows you how much people think of him now. Whether it's Liverpool, Newcastle, Man City, Fulham, we're all behind him.
And it was a team that you played in that embodied the manager, really. As you say, he just wanted you to have fun. The ethos was very much we're going to outscore the opposition, and what a brilliant season in particular in 95-96 it made for.
Yeah, I mean, some of the games, the iconic game, the 4-3 against Liverpool and Stan Cullimore getting the goal, is probably one of the most iconic games he's ever played. We scored, they scored, we scored, and then going backwards and forward. His first thought was entertained to go out there and give the public who had worked hard Monday to Friday and to go out there and to perform and give them something. And if we win, was great, but he wanted to make sure that you give everything you got. He had the side to him, let me tell you, he gave me a few rollickins now and again, and a few of the other players, so he just wanted to win and entertain so badly for his people in this area, and that just shows you the love that's been pouring out for Kevin.
And let's hope we get a game today befitting the occasion. Warren, thanks very much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure, thank you.
Yeah, Warren Barton, what a brilliant talker and crookie. While you just go and get us the team news and get us set for the latest on Newcastle and Liverpool, I'll just ask Perry Groves. It's so interesting, isn't it? So many people just straight away just dropped everything, said, yes, I'm going to be here today. There's a reason for that. It's the respect they all have for Kevin. I just wonder what impact that will have in this ground today on the game, because I think sometimes when you have these big tributes, it can really invigorate the atmosphere, but it can add to extra pressure on the players as well. How do you think it's going to impact the match?
Yeah, it's going to be very, very emotional for both sets of supporters. Kevin, I've been lucky enough to meet him, Sam. I've met him a couple of times with his company. When people have an aura, they have that star quality, but with no ego. He was a man of the people, and you listen to all the ex-players talk about him, saying what a fantastic time that they had playing for him. He wanted them to go and express themselves, and he wanted to play attacking football, and make it like a basketball match. And I think it might have an effect on the first maybe sort of 5-10 minutes of the game, Sam, because of the emotions that's in the stadium. And then once the players have kicked off, they're in the rhythm after about 5 minutes, then it will get sort of normal pace of a Premier League game. But yeah, it's just a very, very sort of emotional, sad day. But most of the fans in the stadium and all of the players will just have unbelievably positive thoughts and a warmth towards Kevin Keegan, which doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with across the whole football family and the football spectrum. And I remember when I was a kid, like in the sort of mid-70s and 80s, Kevin Keegan was the superstar. He was on, remember Superstar? He was on TV, exactly. And won 2 Ballon d'Ors. Was one of the first English-British players to go. So he went and played for Hamburg. Did really well in the Bundesliga, and then come back. Southampton fans love him down there as well. So and I can remember just quickly, I did a theatre date with the Newcastle legends. Obviously Kevin Keegan was like the star attraction, and you do a meet and greet beforehand. The fans come and meet you, and you can have your photographs taken and sign autographs. And after the show was finished about 10 o'clock, the players normally go out sort of the stage entrance, to get in their cars, go home. Kevin Keegan stayed on stage, and in the end, the theatre manager had to say to him, I'm really sorry, Mr. Keegan, but we're going to have to shut the theatre. because he just stayed for all of the fans. Honestly, it was. I stayed and watched.
I had the same experience at a Q&A with him at Stokes Bet365 Stadium not so long ago, a couple of years ago, probably 5 years ago. And it was a big preview to a major tournament. We sat on stage for a couple of hours taking questions from a load of supporters, and at the end of it, he came off stage and everyone just gravitated to the front of the stage and wanted their picture taken with Kevin Keegan. And he did it, and that's the kind of guy he was. Let's see who's in the two teams today, the lineups, all thanks to Paddy Power. For Newcastle against Liverpool, our chief football correspondent is Alex Crook.
Well, it's been a summer of change for both these teams, with new men in the dugout and plenty of incomings and outgoings, particularly for Newcastle, who had Premier League debuts to 3 of their summer signings. Hornacek starts in goal, Dedic at right back and Stir in midfield. New club captain Dan Burn is out with an ankle injury. He's expected to be sidelined for several weeks, so Malik Chow takes the armband this afternoon. As for Liverpool, 60 million, Jeremy Jacquet makes his Premier League bow, while Alexander Isak returns to the North East for the first time since forcing his £125 million move to Liverpool last summer. The two teams in full, Hornacek in goal for the host, Dedic, Chow, Botman and all the back four, Miley and Stir in midfield, Alanga, Wissa and Barnes behind Willisuda up front. For Liverpool, Alisson is the goalkeeper, Frimpong, Jacquet, Van Dijk and Kirkes in front of him, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai in midfield, with Engamoa, Wirtz and Gakpo behind Isak, the returning pantomime villain up front. On an emotionally charged afternoon here at St James's Park, it's Newcastle against Liverpool.
No doubt, Burn, because he's injured. Stir and Miley in midfield. Which Miley is it?
Lewis.
Just check it, because they've been playing the younger one throughout the course of pre-season.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Lewis Miley has got the odds. That wasn't necessarily the case with a lot of the predicted lineups, but I don't know enough about Stir yet, but it does look just a little bit lightweight, doesn't it, with the departures they've had with Tonali and Guimaraes moving to pastures new.
Big sort of day for Hornacek as well in goal, a man who spent most of the last 3 or 4 years with Braga, in fact longer than that. He's been there for such a long time, and all of a sudden now he's being thrust into the Premier League on opening day. Dedic going straight in right back as well, and Malik Chow wearing the armband today.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Newcastle, who badly need some stability with all the upheaval of those departures. I've mentioned Anthony Gordon as well right at the start of the summer, and obviously Eddie Howe and his coaching staff. They decided that Dan Burn would be the new skipper following Bruno Guimaraes' big money move to Arsenal, and even he can't play this afternoon. So I think it's going to be a really tough season for Newcastle.
We'll be talking a lot about Alexander Isak and the return to St James's Park for him. Jacquet starting the youngster alongside Van Dijk. Engamoa getting the nod on the right, effectively replacing Mo Salah. And Perry Groves looking at the bench. Trey Ione, McConnell and Kumas all on the bench for Liverpool. Is that a lack of strength in depth?
Yeah, very much so, obviously, with the young players that have come through the academy. But the thing with Engamoa, Sam, I couldn't believe that last season Arne Slot, when he was under pressure, he wasn't playing Engamoa. And what you should do is, with a young player like that who's got fantastic talent, brilliant in 1v1s, that can give the whole crowd and the players a lift. So that's what he'll be expecting from Engamoa today, and Iriola. And you're looking at Florian Wirtz playing in his preferred 10 role, with obviously Gakpo on the left-hand side, and obviously the pantomime villain Isak's, going back to St James's Park, and he's going to obviously get a, should we say, interesting welcome when he comes.
Oh no, he won't.
Well, he already has, Perry. I've seen a video from outside the ground. The Liverpool team coach appeared, and there were big shouts of rat, rat, rat as Alexander Isak stepped off the coach and made his way in the players' entrance.
But all that'll do is, that'll inspire him. I know it's very difficult because it's very emotional the way that he left. He didn't cover himself in glory, and that's, you want to leave in the right way, like Guimaraes has done. So then the Newcastle fans, hold you in high esteem. And he could be one of the few Newcastle players ever to score a winning goal in a major cup final, their first domestic one for 70 years, and basically erased, wouldn't he, from the Newcastle fans' memories.
He will be the only Newcastle player
yes.
that has ever happened to,
exactly.
if that is the case, because they haven't won one for such a long time. Thank you very much. Those lineups all bought by Paddy Power, 18+, BigGambleAware.org. Right, let's get to the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City behind against Bournemouth, and they've got a big problem for a big signing. Mickey Graham, John Dunn.
Just past the hour mark, Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1, and Elliot Anderson is going off, just feeling his knee. Doesn't look too serious, but he'll be replaced by Mateo Kovacic. The other change that's taking place is Ryan Cherky on for Nico O'Reilly. That might be the spark that Manchester City need. We spoke so much about Mark Gay playing in midfield. Well, he had a big chance, nothing to do with his position, when a corner was swung in from the left-hand side from Elliot Anderson. Gay arriving on the run in the 6-yard area at the far post, just needed to head it down and straight. Somehow, Martin's come off the side of his head and fallen wide. Mateo Nunes is on as well for Rico Lewis. That was a change at right back. Lewis swung in across. It was a dangerous ball, but neither Haaland or Semenyo could get there. Bournemouth still leading through that. Marcus Tavernier in the first half. This is the 14th time that Bournemouth have come to Manchester City. They've never won on City's turf. In fact, they've lost 12 of the previous 13. And at the minute, Mickey, without that spark that maybe Cherky can give, Bournemouth looking more than comfortable.
Yeah, and they're comfortable without creating any opportunities. I will give Man City the credit for that. You know, they've had a lot of possession in Bournemouth's half, but at the end of it, there's been no end product. You're right about the opportunity from Mark Gay. Look, he has to score. I mean, it's harder to miss than score. He's 2 yards out. He's just got to hit the target with his head. But the substitutions that Manchester City have just made, two things about it. Nunes came on Kovacic and Cherky, just to give them that little bit of a spark. But there was an injury to Elliot Anderson. He was down on the ground. The Bournemouth manager, Marco Rose, went across to his players and he was passing on information. Maresca stood next to his players and never said a word. I just don't think there's any communication there at all. You know, it's really bizarre, this performance from Man City. I have to be completely honest with you. Look, it's the first day of the season. I know things are going to get better for City, and this is not the finished article when it comes to the squad. But what I'm seeing out there at the moment is a distant pass from what I saw last season and the season before.
And there is growing frustration in the stand. 64 minutes gone, Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1.
Yeah, that injury to Elliot Anderson, Mickey, as well, happened, didn't it, with the collision with Tavernier. They sort of collided as they sort of ran past each other. I think he sort of gave the ball away, Elliot Anderson, and then Marcus Tavernier sort of ran into him. He hasn't really recovered since that. Now he's had to go off. So there's another shift in that Manchester City midfield. Obviously with Cherky on, you'd hope that there was a little bit more spark. But I think there'll be Manchester City fans that are also sort of begging the question, why are you not including Ryan Cherky from the very start? Because he does have that craft to open up defences.
Well, the first substitution you should have made should have been a positive one, Sam, in front of your home supporters when you find yourself going behind. He brings on Mateus Nunes to play right back. City have got a chance now, which is cleaned up. But he just has his body language, Enzo Maresca, in that technical area. Yes, of course it's going to be different to Pep Guardiola, and he wants to do it his way. But I think when you find yourself a goal behind, and they haven't really created some big opportunities apart from that Mark Gay chance in his second half, it's just a really slow, languid performance, and a few of my City friends have been messaging me while the game's going on, and they're not happy at all.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, Perry Groves, you're watching this as well, and we don't want to jump to big headlines and conclusions after, 1.5 games of football in charge, Enzo Maresca. But when you look back at recent managers that have inherited big clubs, Unai Emery struggled a little bit going into Arsenal. Obviously, David Moyes, very daunting experience at Old Trafford. Do you think Enzo Maresca is just a little bit overawed by going in and following someone who he clearly had healthy respect for and thought was the very best around?
He should be, Sam, because as you said there, he's been under Pep Guardiola. He's seen how Man City works. He knows the majority of the players, and I just think that, as Mickey said there, I don't think that he knows his best team. And normally when a manager goes in, you put your philosophy in, yet there's a style of play. And I'm just looking at Man City at the moment. It just seems like everything's just a little bit flat. It's all like a little bit laboured. You know, you're 1-0 down at home. You're expecting a big reaction at the beginning of the second half. That hasn't come. You wouldn't say that we're actually bombarding like Petrovic, with balls into the box, and Erling Haaland's getting chance after chance after chance. But what's happening now is Bournemouth, what happens is you're 1-0 up, they've just started to sit that little bit deeper now, they're sort of encamped in their own half. In the first half they could get out on Evan Nilsson, they're not getting out whatsoever, so it's whether you said about Ryan Cherky, if he can get himself around Erling Haaland in that 10 position, which he's trying to do, and give you that little bit of sort of creativity, but everything just looks a little bit flat for Man City at the minute, and the atmosphere looks flat as well in the stadium.
Semenyo has just come close. He's had a shot from inside the penalty area, which was saved down low by Petrovic. There was a collision before that, but Mark Gay was involved in it. He's back on his feet. Again, it remains Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1. Let's check in with the situation down at the Amex Stadium. Toby Gillies, I can't believe you haven't told us about any more goals in the second half so far. What's the latest?
Well, we thought we had another one there. It's Brighton 4, 10-man Aston Villa 0. That's how it was at half-time. But Brighton did just think that they had a fifth goal. Fabian Hutzler has just made his first changes, bringing on for his debut Costinha and Charalampos Kostulas as well, and they thought they combined for the fifth. Costinha's first touch in a Brighton shirt was a shot from just outside the box that hit the post. It bounced back to Kostulas. He finished neatly, but he was offside for the rebound. Brighton really just taking their foot off the gas, to be honest with you guys. And so it remains Brighton 4, 10-man Aston Villa 0.
Toby Gillies, let me tell you that Alex Crook has just told me that Kostulas would like to be known as Babas Kostulas. I think that's easier for you. I don't know why that is, but, you know, let's go with it, because, you know, it's easier. Brighton thrashing Aston Villa by 4 goals to 0. Manchester City have a corner, Turkey about to take it. Talking of corners, who's negotiating them the best of the Dutch Grand Prix? Tom Clayton.
Very smoothly transitioned there. Lap number 43, Lando Norris currently leads, but Kimi Antonelli, the de facto race leader, is the man who's made a pit stop, and he's going for the alternative strategy to Norris to try and get pressure times towards the end. I wonder if we are going to see Norris come into the pits once again and try and close that gap and get back ahead. After the first round of pit stops, Norris was definitely closing up on Antonelli, who was definitely making a better fist of the second half of this race, hence the change from Antonelli. The two Ferraris have come on strong in the second part of this race as well, Leclerc and Hamilton having a nice battle. But at the moment, Lando Norris leads, but we're in a little bit of purgatory with where the simulations and where the strategies are going at the moment. 43 laps on the clock at the moment. Norris is the leader.
Stick with us, Game Day Live on talkSPORT, where it's currently Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1, and Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0. West Brom 1 earlier in the Championship, and Liverpool visit Newcastle United at 4:30.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus stream our internet, terms apply.
Without rhyme or reason, we believe every football season. We, the believers. Betfred, please gamble responsibly.
Switching to Vodafone full fibre broadband is now as easy as pie. Oh, freshly baked. It's a walk in the park. Hello, little fella. It's like taking candy from a baby. Come on, as if I'd do that. With One Touch Switch, it's easy. We sort everything out for you. We even contact your current provider. Plus, we'll help towards leaving fees. Switch today to full fibre broadband with Vodafone. Up to £200 credit covered leaving fees. More information and terms at vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
Have you seen the Johnston's Decorating Centre Bonanza sale? No. What's the deal? 3 10-litre tubs of Johnston's Trade Cover Plus, just £34 each, with a free Pro Gold brush set. Or 3 10-litre tubs of Johnston's Trade Acrylic Durable Mat, just £50 each, with a free work platform. But that's worth stocking up for. The Johnston's Decorating Centre Bonanza sale is on now. Visit your local branch or shop at johnston'sdc.com. T's and C's apply. Prices exclude VAT at 20%. Selected products only. Free gifts available. Stocks last.
Mr. Q. Okay, next question. What do a reality TV romance, your ex, and Mr. Q withdrawals have in common? That's right. None of them last long, if you know what I mean. Because 99% of Mr. Q withdrawals are instant. If yours isn't, you get a tenner. Haters for losing, not for waiting. Mr. Q, the casino you love to hate. Withdrawals processed within 60 seconds of request. £1 £10 credit per payer per day. Paid next working day. Eligibility, exclusions and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. UK customers only. Please pay responsibly.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Tomorrow afternoon from 1 with Hawksby and Jacob on talkSPORT.
An interestingly assembled packed lunch of
Cheese and pickle and roasticles.
still crispy after 25 years.
A whole grain recipe for lunchtime laughs and legends.
It's Hawksby and Jacob. Tomorrow afternoon from 1 on talkSPORT.
Hello, good afternoon. It is
It's talkSPORT. You're listening to Game Day Live with me, Sam Matterface, across the sporting world today. Brighton thrashing Aston Villa by 4 goals to 0 in the Premier League. Bournemouth 1-0 up away at Manchester City with 20 minutes or so to go. Newcastle against Liverpool kicks off at 4:30. A couple of debutants for Newcastle United, including new goalkeeper, new right back today as well. Willisula leads the line. Alexander Isak starts for Liverpool on a return to St James's Park. West Bromwich Albion beat Burnley by 3 goals to 1 in the Championship. Lando Norris leads up to 45 laps of the Dutch Grand Prix. Warrington Wolves are 10-4 up against the Huddersfield Giants live on talkSPORT 2, and Leeds absolutely tearing York apart away from home. 36 points to nothing. That kicked off at 3 o'clock. Let's get the latest odds, all thanks to Paddy Power.
Game Day Odds Update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18 plus, gambleware.org.
Right, let's have a quick look at the odds as they stand right now. Manchester City trailing by a goal to 0. They're 9-2 to come back and complete a victory. The draw 7-4. Bournemouth 17-20, 20-17 on to win the game. Brighton and Hove Albion 4-0 up. You can't back them now. Aston Villa are down to 10. João Gomez was sent off in the first half. The draw's 450 to 1. Villa are 450 to 1. I think we know that game is done. That's all thanks to Paddy Power. 18 plus, begambler.org.
Game Day Odds Update on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. 18 plus, gambleware.org.
Let's get to John Dunn and Mickey Gray watching Manchester City Bournemouth. Any sign of any sort of tempo increase from Manchester City after the changes?
Doesn't seem it so far. We're approaching the final 15 minutes as Erling Haaland gets a shot on goal, but Petrovic is there again. This sums up City. It was a ball put back from Mark Gay all the way to the byline, but Haaland didn't make the contact he would have wanted. It was soft, it was into the ground, and Petrovic with a comfortable save. It's Manchester City, Bournemouth 1, by the way. City have started asking questions. Semenyo with a shot left of the box. That was a save by Petrovic. Phil Foden hasn't scored in 30 games for Manchester City. He had a shot from the edge of the area. That was deflected just wide. Moments ago, Haaland scooped one over the bar from 12 yards. That was after Foden, Nunes and Cherki all took a touch on the edge of a very congested area. Bournemouth about to make a triple change. Daniel Jefferson, Alex Toff and Tyler Adams coming on. City lost only 2 Premier League home games last season. The first one and the last one. But those changes not quite happening yet, Wicked.
No, they don't. They're trying to get Ryan Cherki on the ball. You mentioned the opportunities that City have had. Pretty much half chances for Erling Haaland, the 2 that he had. Phil Foden was always trying to work that ball onto his left foot. And again, you know, I go back to Bournemouth. They haven't really asked any questions themselves going forward. But they don't need to. You know, they're sitting in, they're soaking the pressure up, they're making a half a Man City to getting behind them. But again, that fluidity of City in that final third, it's not quite clicking at the moment. The Bournemouth look quite comfortable.
15 to go at the Etihad. Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1.
This is talkSPORT. We're live at St James's Park, and there's a little bit of sort of throwback action going on today. They're playing some of the Sky themes from back in the day. The Live and Kicking Simple Minds song, which was sort of the one that kicked off the Sky coverage when, you might remember, it was the first couple of years in which they got promoted to Newcastle United and became the entertainers under Kevin Keegan, who they'll pay tribute to today. Let's go down to the Amex Stadium. talkSPORT's Toby Gillies.
Still, Brighton 4, 10-man, Aston Villa 0. We've seen Diego Gomez go over from 25 yards. Brighton running another couple of changes. And just one interesting point of note, and I think this might be a message from Unai Emery to the board. He has only just made a first couple of changes. He's brought on Tyrone Mings as well as the Marco guard. But when you're 4-0 down and down to 10 men and have been since before half-time, the fact that he's waited until the 73rd minute to make some changes, I think there are messages being sent. Brighton 4, 10-man Aston Villa 0.
I don't really understand what messages he's sending, though, Perry Groves. I'm a little bit confused by the whole thing that's going on at Aston Villa. I just don't get how they can be in this situation where people are being allowed to depart over and over and over again, and the squad is being decimated, and seemingly they're not doing enough about it to turn the tide. I mean, look, okay, we understand. We understand that PSR has caused the problem. But when you sold Morgan Rodgers for 117 million quid, surely your PSR problems are gone, aren't they? As soon as that happens, when you sold Ezri Konsa for £51 million, you add those two together. I mean, how on earth can you be in a situation where that doesn't sort out your PSR?
Well, the thing is, if it sorts out your PSR, great, then you've got to make sure your recruitment's right. We've seen João Gomez have a debut that he's going to want to forget, giving away the goal and getting caught on the ball. You got Suzuki from Parma, who we thought,
I like him. I like him. I think he's a good goalkeeper. He played in Japan at the World Cup.
Exactly, yeah, and he gives you a bit of a prince at 6'3". Manzambi from Freiburg signed for 60 million. So
yeah, he's injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a very good player, by the way, Manzambi. He was excellent at Freiburg last year. I suppose they've been unfortunate with the injuries as well, and the late arrival of Suzuki. But even so, it does feel as if they're a little bit underprepared for the start of the season, and that is, it's what Roberto De Serbi said this yesterday. We weren't ready. I mean, how can you not be ready for the start of the season? It is not as if we didn't know it was coming.
Also, you talked about that yesterday. You talked about a player like Tonali. It's not as if he had like a really tough World Cup, was it, for Tonali? So he's had like a summer off. So it's absolutely the thing that's worried about Aston Villa today is normally under Unai Emery, you can tell their structure. You can tell that they're very, very good, like closing down. They just didn't look like they had any belief at all against Brighton today. And we said before about the high line that they keep. That's all very keep the high line, but you've got to make sure that you press, that you go and press. And it just looks very half-hearted. And the players, they just look as if they're a little bit disappointed as well, There's no energy there. There's no sort of real verve about Aston Villa. And
That's what happens, isn't it? When you see everybody departing through the exit door, you do get a little bit sort of dispirited.
But the thing is, as an individual player, you've got to make sure that doesn't affect you individually, and then you can come off the pitch and say, I've given everything that I possibly could. And I'm looking at the Aston Villa players today, and again, you're talking about intent. There was miles more intent from Brighton from the off. When Deere had a couple of chances in the first minute, apart from that, it was just wave after wave. And I thought with that sort of first, 10 minutes, that it could be 4-4 after Lindelof's own goal, which come back off the post, which is a really poor play from Torres with that pass. Then you think there's going to be a reaction from Aston Villa. You think you're going to, we're going to go after Brighton. It didn't happen. And it just looks like that the energy's been taken out of the players. And I must admit, I think that the energy is taken out of Unai Emery as well, because he's tried to sound positive, in interviews before the game, because he has to. But if you're a manager, Sam, and you know that your wings keep getting clipped season after season after season, let's be honest, he's overachieved for Aston Villa, for what he's been given, and actually keep selling your best players. And in the end, if you keep going to the well, it's going to run dry, and that's what's happening with Aston Villa.
Donnarumma getting a little bit rattled under a little bit of pressure from a corner at the Etihad Stadium. He's fallen out with Tyler Adams. He did just cuff a Bournemouth player in the face. It was Tavernier, or may have been Jemison. He sort of cuffed him in the face, and then Tyler Adams had a little nip out at him, and he threw himself to the floor, Donnarumma, to draw attention to what was happening inside the 6-yard box. And he's having a right old go at Jemison now, on the goal line as the corner is about to come in. It's Game Day Live on talkSPORT. Let's go off to the Dutch Grand Prix. It's talkSPORT's Tom Clayton.
20 laps to go here. It's Lewis Hamilton who leads at the moment, but the rest of the top 5 have all pitted. Crucially, the battle for what feels like the de facto win between Antonelli and Norris, they're down to a gap of half a second. Norris came out of the pits after a pit stop just a few laps to go, probably about 3 or 4 seconds behind. In 2 laps, he's built up, or he's closed at a gap of 3 seconds. He is absolutely flying out there. Hamilton, he might be thinking about taking this to the very end without some of the pit stop, but he'd have another 20 laps to do with 2 much, much faster cars behind him. If he were to pit now, he'd come out in a comfortable 5th position, and he would have probably the faster tyres to run to the end of the Grand Prix. We're seeing a great battle between Antonelli and Norris. So Russell and Leclerc having races on their own, but at the moment Hamilton leads, but the battle is behind him. Antonelli in 2nd, Norris in 3rd, with 20 laps to go at the Dutch Grand Prix.
The Newcastle goalkeepers have just come out to warm up here at St James's Park, and all of them wearing number 7 Keegan shirts away to our right as they warm up. And the same actually with the goalkeepers for Liverpool away to our left-hand side, warming up wearing red shirts with Keegan and number 7 on the back. So the tributes have already started to the late great Kevin Keegan. ahead of kick-off here at 4:30. There'll be all sorts going on, and we'll bring it to you live on talkSPORT. It's Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with now you can stream all the Sky Sports action flexibly in minutes. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today, streamed via the internet, terms apply. We go back round the grounds next. It's currently Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 1. Manchester City heading for a rare opening day defeat, and Brighton certainly heading for yet another opening day victory. They're leading Aston Villa by 4 goals to 0.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Train toilet door. Didn't work. Lock. Didn't work. Everyone's seen me on the ball. Didn't work. Train toilet door. Didn't work.
Bet £10. Get £30 in free bets with Midnight. Search Midnight Sports or download the Midnight app today. Nicholas Mazzoni, restricted and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Play responsibly. GambleAware.org.
Big Arch just got bacon. More smokiness, more crispiness, more deliciousness. With juicy beef, cheddar cheese, and the Big Arch sauce. Now topped with crispy bacon. The Big Arch just got bacon.
So 28th of September 2026, here from 11 a.m. Subject to availability.
With the Suns odds from £9.50, it's your last chance this year to get
Two idea, so we'll play.
and that's carry fees, mate, and woohoo! Choose from over 200 clubs across the UK and Europe. Start collecting your codes today in the Sun or join Sun Club to book. Price based on the minimum of 4 people sharing T&Cs apply.
With our rhyme season, we believe. Every football season, we wear scarves in sport chicken, whose half-time pies to stop pushing their feet, or we fuck me, that's my lucky seat. The treble is on. Relegation, nah, won't give that a miss. Home, away, any given Saturday. Come on, lads, we've got this. Backs, back-to-backs, I'm telling you, it's all in the bag. We, the believers. Betfred, please gamble responsibly.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus stream our internet, terms apply. Live goal crunching updates. Game Day Live.
talkSPORT.
Doesn't matter where you play him, if you leave him unmarked at a corner, he's going to score. John Dunn.
Manchester City 1, Bournemouth. Of the Enzo Maresca era. He scored by Mark Gay. Started in midfield, missed a glorious opportunity early in the second half, but he scored the equaliser here. Cherky's corner on the right-hand side, delivered left-footed, and Gay got free 6 yards out ahead of goalwards. It did take a deflection to go beyond Petrovic. City now looking to try and get themselves in front. Jack Grealish is on his first City Premier League appearance. It's coming on as a substitute against Bournemouth in May of 2025. That goal came just after Bournemouth's best spell of possession. Couple of corners in this second half. It's taking the lead through Marcus Tavernier in the first half. We've got 5 minutes left, Mickey. Where's your money?
I don't know. I think it's probably in the moment. It's a fair result, but you have to say City have had the better opportunities in the game. There's no question that. Bournemouth just didn't learn from the early opportunity when Mark Gay should have scored the equaliser goal. He has got it now. He's unmarked from the corner when Ryan Cherky puts the ball into the area. That's a real error from Bournemouth side of things. You cannot give a player of his quality in the air that amount of space inside the box to head the ball towards that Bournemouth net. And they deserve that equaliser. I'm not saying they deserve to win this game, but you can hear the crowd's completely changed now.
Semenyo has moved to the right, Grealish on the left. That's worked Bournemouth up as well. They're starting to come forward. 4 minutes of normal time remaining. Manchester City 1, Bournemouth 1.
Oh my word, Perry Groves. Imagine getting yourself into a position where you're on top, you're in charge of the game, you're cruising through it, and you've had no real threat, and then you decide that at a corner, defending is optional.
Do you know what? It's the second time they've done it, because about 15 minutes earlier, Mark Gay had a free header where it looked like he had a 10 out on and he missed his sort of header completely. That time, Mark Gay's just loitering around the penalty spot. It's a good delivery from Cherky from the right-hand side, good pace on it, in swinging, and Tavernier is standing on the penalty spot, and then he just lets Gay run from behind him. Yeah, he gets his free header, and it's a good, really good header downwards, exactly which your technique's excellent. And Tavernier just puts his hands up, just say, what's happening? And you think, well, no, that's you. You make sure you stay with him. Or worse ways out, you're looking at your centre half, Silver and Hill for Bournemouth. As the ball's coming in there, they have to take responsibility and go and try and attack the ball. That's what you do as centre halves. You know, you take something, you get it away. But I was going to say schoolboy defending, but I don't think you'd even see that at schoolboy level, Sam, to be fair, with somebody completely unmarked, sort of 8 yards out with a free header.
It's infuriating because Marco Rosa would have been pretty pleased with what he'd seen from his team. Yes, okay, there have been a couple of occasions where they weren't as on it in terms of defensively as they should have been, but they've limited Manchester City to very few chances in the game, and then all of a sudden they give a chance like that to Mark Gay, who just leaps into the air and prods it into the net. It was an easy goal, and it means that Manchester City are back on terms, and there's still 3 minutes to go. Fascinating. I'm not sure that we'll see a winner, but you never know. Late drama in the Premier League go hand in hand. Let's go down to the Amex Stadium, see the day late drama there for Toby Gillies.
Brighton 4, Aston Villa still with 10 men, of course, 0. And really, Brighton, I think, have let Villa off this one because it's been definitely foot off the gas for the second half. They've not really gone for it. They might have had a penalty 10 or so minutes ago. Substitute Ibrahim Osman looked to me like he was body checked by John McGinn in the box. Referee Peter Banks waved it away. VAR did have a brief look, but decided ref's call was correct. Aston Villa have just made another sub, and we've seen Alejandro Garnacho come on for the very first time as Brighton do get a shot on target. A header down easily saved by Marco Bizzo, and it remains Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0.
It's going to be interesting to hear Toby's interview with Unai Emery after the game. 4-0 to Brighton, who are starting well and going top of the Premier League, the way things are at this moment in time. That will please Fabian Herzler no end, that's for sure. Who's going to be on the top of the podium at the Dutch Grand Prix? Tom Clayton.
Lap number 58, and this is set up beautifully going into the final 15 laps. Lando Norris leads from George Russell in second. Now, what we've just had is a virtual safety car after a back marker stopped out on track. But what it allowed several cars to do, including Antonelli, Hamilton and Leclerc, is to pit stop for fresh tyres, and that means that Norris and Russell, who stayed out, are about 6 or 7 seconds clear at the front of the grid, while Antonelli and Hamilton are much fresher tyres, much faster tyres as well. They're going to have the chance to close up into the final 15 laps. At the moment, it's Norris from Russell, from Antonelli, from Hamilton, from Leclerc, with 14 to go now as we tick over the line. Grandstand finish coming and Zandvoort.
Thank you very much to Tom Clayton, who's watching the Dutch Grand Prix for us. Full time for Manchester City, Bournemouth, it's 1-1 at the moment. And Brighton, Aston Villa, where Brighton are leading by 4-0 coming next. And you've just heard the boos that have been directed in the direction of the Liverpool players as they come out, and Alexander Isak has just walked onto the St James's Park turf for the first time in Liverpool colours. That they're all wearing Kevin Keegan jerseys today, but the reception was pretty hostile for him. More as we build up to the big game here on talkSPORT in just a few moments. We're back to Man City and Brighton next.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games flexibly with Now. Like Newcastle versus Liverpool live today. 18 plus, stream via internet, terms apply.
Without rhyme or reason, we believe every football season. We wear scarves in scorching heat. Who's half-time pies to stop the pushing your feet? Oi, off your top, mate. That's my lucky seat. The treble is on. Relegation? Nah, we'll give that a miss. Home, away, any given Saturday. Come on, lads, we've got this. Comebacks, back-to-backs. I'm telling you, it's all in the bag. We, the believers. Betfred, please gamble responsibly.
There's still time to get EasyJet flights and package holidays this summer. Get it while it's hot, like fan yourself past the ice kind of hot. With flights from £25 one way and package holidays from £369 per person. Book now at easyjet.com. Get out there. Selected dates and flights August to September. Limited availability. Holidays also protected. T's and C's apply.
Crocs clips just dropped in Happy Meal. Express yourself however you feel. Sports mode, stylish or superstar too. Whatever your vibe, we've got them all for you. some fun, some food. It's all inside this Happy Meal. Until 21st of September from 11 a.m. Includes one piece selected bulk from Crocs range comprised of toys only while stocks last. Available during course of the
We're here at the Coral Arena for the big Sunday game. The players are warming up. The pie queues are just about winding down. And we've just had some breaking news. Coral's Golden Hour is live. That's right, fans. Get boosted bet builders on the big Sunday game up until 4:30. That's rewarding the fans. Coral, we're here for it.
18 plus, selected markets and selected times. Check coral.co.uk. Coral rules and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
Sunday Game Day Live on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Kia for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. If it goes in, it's going on. Game Day Live, talkSPORT.
There are screams from the sidelines at the Etihad of Vamos, John Dunn.
Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 1, and Josko Vardiol has potentially won it on Enzo Maresca's debut as head coach. It looked as though initially it wouldn't be given. It was a beautifully threaded ball through by substitute Ryan Cherky. Vardiol, a touch and finish into the bottom left corner. Flag raised, everyone thought, yes, that will be offside. As soon as we saw the replay, it was a hang-on, it was a VAR check, and an eruption around Etihad Stadium as the goal was given. What a turnaround.
Relief in this stadium. You can feel it. And poor James Hill, he's trying to just leak out and leave Guardiola in an offside position from that through ball from Ryan Cherky. You've got to defend. I think it's even Gannon Dunn, who's the furthest player back for Bournemouth, who's keeping Guardiola onside. But when he gets his shot away and he fires it into the bottom corner, my arm straight away went up in the air to say offside. But VAR looked at it, and it was James Hill, I think it was his heel, was keeping Guardiola. Super finish from him, by the way, with his right foot into the bottom corner. But what a turnaround for City and relief everywhere.
When the goal went in, Gianluigi Donnarumma came rushing to the touchline to embrace Enzo Maresca. The coaching staff joined in with him. We're into the final few seconds. Ryan Cherky, by the way, 12 Premier League assists last season. He's got 2 as a substitute in about 15 minutes here. His introduction has certainly played a huge part in turning this game around.
Yeah, absolutely superb. That's what you want from the substitutes. And I'm sure he's going to have a lot more assists before the end of the season. But what an impact. And you can hear this stadium now. They are absolutely thrilled to pieces. Probably want the full-time whistle now.
We are into the 4th minute. There was 3 added. We're now into 4.5. The final whistle about to go anytime. Manchester City were a goal down. Marcus Tavernier scoring after 25 minutes after a City defensive mix-up. Turning home from close range. There's the full-time whistle. And a turnaround in the second half. City, we described them as messy and disjointed during the first half. And they've had to come behind. And they've had to do it late. Mark Gay's header from a Cherky corner with 7 minutes of normal time remaining. And then a goal in injury time from Josko Vardiol has won it for Enzo Maresca and Manchester City, but still so much to pick out of this Manchester City performance.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Look, they weren't at the best, of course. They weren't first day of the Premier League season. It's about getting points on the board. They will improve as the season goes on, Man City, but I still think there's a lot of work to be done. But Marco Rosa must be absolutely seething. He thought his side were going to get all 3 points. He thought his end side were going to come away with something from the Etihad Stadium. First time this season. And it's just completely flipped on its head. They're going away with nothing. And as I said before, relief in this stadium that Manchester City have picked up all 3 points.
There were boos at half-time, cheers, and as Mickey says, relief, big relief at full-time. Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 1.
Well, I did say, I don't know why you didn't bring on Brian Cherky earlier on, Perry Groves, and he's had a massive impact on this game.
There you go, Garland changed the game for us, said try and play in that 10 position just off of Erling Haaland. His delivery from the corner was brilliant for Mark Gay's header, which was a free header, completely unmarked. Tavernier should be picking them up. But then, because Bournemouth started, we said Sam, dropping deeper and deeper, they're on the edge of the own 18-yard box. Ryan Cherky does brilliantly because he checks back at first, he gets it onto his left foot just in the D, then with the outside of his left foot, he just flicks it into Vardiol, and Vardiol actually channels his in at Erling Haaland because his first touch is brilliant. His first touch is out of his feet, and then with his second touch, his right foot, he just sweeps it back across Petrovic, low down to his right-hand side, gives him no chance. So, it's a brilliantly crafted goal from Man City because they have got players, Sam, that can have that bit of individual brilliance. The game itself, from Man City's point of view, they were very clunky in possession. They weren't very smooth. They didn't look like any sort of direction. But from Enzo Maresca's point of view, that is a massive, massive relief. He knows his team has got away from one, but it just sort of calms everybody down. And also the players then look at Enzo Maresca and think, actually, you've actually made substitutions that have changed the game. The manager has changed. He should have changed it half time. He didn't. Shirky comes in the 63rd minute, gets his 2 assists, and Man City get themselves, let's be honest, they get themselves out of jail. Now they've won all 10 of their Premier League home games.